a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news and reviews, gaming news, and just conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me I have my co-host, as usual, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Doing all right. Doing all right. We're getting ready to have a big old blizzard here again. So we're tucking in and ready cuz kids already have school canceled tomorrow and universities closed and everything. So yeah, going to have a snow day tomorrow. So yeah, looking forward to that.
Well, recently had some snowstorm where I'm at, so I had some snow as well. Hard to
Yep.
believe. I think we're not in the same area, but
No, no, but
yeah, it's
you
cold.
get
What
it
can you
gets
do?
everywhere. Yeah. I hate snow. It's cold and it's wet and it gets everywhere.
Was that your Anakin?
Yeah, that's as best I could do, yeah.
Well, that's good to know. And no, it was pretty good. I at least understood what you meant. And then yeah, I mean it's been kind of a strange day. It feels like ever since, January, was it 20th, 21st, whenever that
Yeah.
was, I feel like every day has been like an adventure. For good and for bad. I mean, it's just all this stuff is happening all the time, but it's
Oh, yeah.
probably good that stuff is happening than I guess stuff not happening.
Well, it certainly gives us more things to talk about.
For us, it's good because we get to talk about stuff for sure.
Yes, yes.
But,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
so
many things happening, yeah.
exactly. So,
Are
I
you,
get
have you gotten your tickets for Captain America yet?
I have actually. Well, I have,
Yeah?
like, a monthly pass
Oh,
that I could
yes,
see
yeah.
a bunch of movies every month. I mean, I don't think that I needed to, like, secure that in advance. I have a when I
No,
booked the ticket,
probably not.
it's not like I saw that there were, like, a million people in the theater going to watch it with me, but just in case I did secure, you can ask in advance even though I'm not specifically paying for it, just the flat fee. But I did secure a ticket for, Thursday. I think I set it up at 3 p.m. I usually I'm on Nerd Wars with Erwin and Angry Badger, and then, right after that, I think that I'm immediately gonna go to the theater to see the movie,
Oh, alright.
and then I'll be back for Midnight's Edge After Dark, then Quantum Leap, and then our stream.
Yeah.
So, I'm somehow gonna work that into the
Squeeze it
schedule.
in somehow.
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, it's a you almost wish you could you could go to the theater and watch it on, like, 1 and a quarter speed or something, so you could get it over with more quickly. Because
Yeah.
there's gonna be big gaps in there where you're gonna be like, "Why did I choose this? Why
I'm
why did I decide to come watch this movie?"
I am genuinely curious as to what they're gonna do with that movie. Uh, it's not that I want it to be bad, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's funny, I see Kivo, wrote this comment that made me laugh. He wrote, "I listened to Paper Airplane, my week was ruined." That was, by the way, the last time when I said that there was that artist that they wanted to book her for an event, and I said that it's the worst song I'd ever heard, and they changed their mind. But that's what I thought about it. It sounded like a child with, like, some kind of mental issue singing. That's what the song sounded like to me, and I just thought, "This is awful, like, who would pay for this?" But, it was a hit, people liked it, I can't take that away from them. Uh, Another interesting thing, last time I told a story that, there was somebody that I booked for an event at a casino, if you remember, and that at the hotel, and that she said that bad things about them, and I told her to remove the post because we could get sued. Uh, so I wanna apologize to everybody because I said that it was a David Guetta singer, somebody that sang with David Guetta. I actually, did look into it after our stream. I won't say her name, but she actually worked with Calvin Harris. So, I also said that the song was something about The Weeknd. That was a different artist, and I think that that's somebody else that I worked with, but it has nothing to do with this. The song wasn't about The Weeknd. It was a Calvin Harris song, and she was singing the female vocals on his song. Calvin Harris is like a
Mm.
one of those fancy DJs that along the lines of like a David Guetta. It's not like that I'm completely bonkers for, mixing the 2 up, Calvin Harris has done songs like with Rihanna and with like really big names. This lady that I'm talking about isn't exactly the biggest name. Uh, she was kind of on the rise, but yeah. So for those who actually
Mm,
remember that story, it was a Calvin Harris song, and it wasn't David Guetta. That's my official retraction.
I see. I
People
see.
are like,
Well,
"What is this guy talking
to
about?"
now my perception of this has completely changed. Oh, not David Guetta, it was Calvin Harris, and I don't know what to think anymore, Price. I'm so
I actually think that
confused.
they're
I'm so
both kind of
lost.
overrated, you know what I mean? But I don't wanna take away from their success if people are willing to pay. That Calvin Harris guy, even David Guetta, I think that they're willing to pay, like, $1,000,000 a night for those guys to, like, spin at your stupid party, or at least, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's like, wow, just for these guys? Totally not worth it. But, for me, I don't know, I can't tell other people what to do with their money. No DJ set. What's this guy gonna do that's worth, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars? But that's just my opinion. In any case.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking to the wrong person when it comes to music.
No, but
I
you know what? If we're
just
speaking about
couldn't care less about
I
any of them.
if we're speaking about music, I do wanna say that in the Super Bowl, we had, Kendrick Lamar, and I saw that some people were talking about if, like, they thought he was good or not, and in my opinion, I don't think that he's if you like hip hop, I think that he's fine in that department. The only problem is that I don't think that he was an act that was right for this Super Bowl specifically. I know people are saying, "Oh, it broke the viewing numbers." It broke viewing numbers because I think people were watching it, like, on their phone, on streaming, online, on this, on that. More than ever, it was streamed, like, all over the world, so I think that the audience just went up organically. I don't think that the audience showed up because Kendrick Lamar was there. I think that just a lot of people were watching it because there's ways for people all over the world to watch it now that people didn't used to have. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So yeah, so the boasting of the big numbers, it doesn't mean anything. I think that Kendrick Lamar, like I said, I understand that he's popular right now, meaning he's an artist that maybe he's been around for a number of years and he's had some hits, but it's a very specific genre, and it's things that are going on now that speak to a very specific crowd. And usually at the Super Bowl, in my opinion, you need something like multi generational. You know, you need an
absolutely.
artist. What'd you say?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's really what you should be going for because
Right,
you're not talking to it's not an audience that's just a certain age or even just a certain gender. You got people from all over, different eras, different ages, different
right.
musical tastes. So that
The
they
the
need
most
top tier, big like the best possible artists to appeal to as many people as they can.
Right, the most, exactly. You need the most universal artist you could find, and you know, I was thinking of things like when they did like Paul McCartney or the Rolling Stones. Maybe that's a little older. Maybe you don't need to go as old. Madonna, before she did all those weird surgeries and still kind of looked and acted like Madonna. I think that again, it sometimes it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like music that I personally listen to all day, but you know that for a certain sporting event, it's the right thing to book. Even ones that were like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry. Again, not music that I listen to, but I will say that I know the songs, you know what I mean? And when
Mhm.
Lady Gaga comes on and she does her songs, I'm not saying I'm gonna sit around and listen to them in my spare time, but I know the songs. At least I can understand why that's like a festive environment. Katy Perry also, I mean, again, her songs are nothing to write home about, but it's a festive environment, you know what I mean? Uh, Kendrick Lamar seemed very kind of his songs didn't seem that all that festive. He also had like beef with Drake that he was trying to like address. I don't care about any of that. You know what I mean? Like this is a Super Bowl thing. I don't
Oh
care about
god.
your beef and
Rapper
stupid
beefs. It's
Yeah, I mean
such
who exactly like I don't
so
care about
junior high.
Right, right. I don't care about any of that stuff. Like, you wanna have beef, go have it somewhere else. Like, this is the Super Bowl. It has to be something festive. And I gave even in my video, an example, and I know that some people just they see your thumbnail, they go to your video, and they just like comment weird crap on it. But I they don't even watch the video. But
Yeah.
basically, I was saying that a few years ago, I think in 2022, they had an event where like Dr. Dre brought Eminem and like 50 Cent and Mary J. Blige and Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar was like the fifth wheel in Dr. Dre's like, all-star lineup or whatever you want to call it. And they probably brought him because he's a little younger and he like represents maybe a younger demographic. Now, Dr. Dre, even if you don't like hip hop, you've never listened to it and you don't like it, you'll know Dr. Dre's like the songs that he's produced with these artists. And at least for a sporting event, I can't say that they're not festive. Personally, I do like some of his stuff, so it didn't bother me. But I'm saying like even people that don't even like the genre will suddenly hear his songs and recognize them because they're so ingrained in like pop culture. You've heard them at sporting events. You've heard them, your whole life. Memes, online, internet. You've heard them even if you don't know what I'm talking about. If I played them for you, you'd be like, "Oh, I know this one." You know what I mean? So, plus the whole thing was built as a party. There's like you could tell that it was like a festive party, the one that Dr. Dre did. But this didn't feel like a festive party. I just didn't. I wasn't feeling it. And I think also Jay-Z apparently, I was told that he's still the guy that consults them. There
Yes.
was a situation where I guess there was like, the Floyd thing that happened in 2020 and all that stuff.
Hmm.
And for some reason, or maybe I don't know if that or Colin Kaepernick or whatever it was, they decided like, in order to save face and like, show that they're like, I don't know, they are not they do like black people or whatever they were trying to you know whatever virtue signal of that moment seemed like, I only say that because I don't think any of those NFL people care about anything. They just, it's a business and they want to make money. But at the time, they wanted to create an image because, okay, I remember now. They were having issues with that Kaepernick guy, and then there was the whole Floyd thing in the summer of love of 2020. And then what happened was is that they didn't like the heat that they were getting, so in order to sort of create a situation where artists won't like boycott performing at the Super Bowl, they said that moving forward Jay-Z will be like their consultant and like, in charge of bringing the artists. And they struck some big deal with him where he got a lot of money, and then moving forward he just says, "Hey, why don't we bring this guy?" And then they do it.
Yeah, he has a company called Rock Nation,
Right, that's his label,
RROC, Rock
exactly.
Nation, and that company, that label, that entertainment company is who's in charge of finding the artists for the halftime show. So yeah, basically, yeah, Jay Z decides who gets to perform, which seems a little strange, but
It does seem
okay.
strange. Listen, I also don't care, but I will be honest, ever since the Jay-Z was the one choosing it, I I don't know how to say this, like, exactly, but it's kind of the diversity means that you have, like, a wide range of different people from different places. It seems like ever since he's been here, uh, you know, it's been sort of a one-sided affair, if you
Yes,
understand.
I think you're misunderstanding the word diversity for the word diversity. So there's a distinctive difference between the two. Diversity means lots of different people from different backgrounds and histories, different skin colors, all doing things together. Diversity means anyone not white.
I guess so. So I guess that's what's
So
happening at the Super Bowl.
yeah.
Now, for example, you had Bruno Mars, like this is before the Jay-Z days, where he actually, much like Kendrick Lamar, in my opinion, although Bruno Mars, I think his music is a little more universal to begin with because he does all styles and he does a lot of stuff. Again, Bruno Mars is a guy I don't sit around listen to his tracks all day, but I will say this from what I've seen, and I say this as a musician, the guy understands music. He can play any instrument. He's a decent singer. He's a good performer, and I think the only thing with Bruno Mars is that in the era that he was born and that he became popular, it's an era that if you want to succeed, you have to make music that's probably below what you're capable of doing. If you understand what I mean.
Yeah.
Meaning if he lived like in the late 60s, I think that would push him to make more quality music. It's just or 70s or whatever it is, like maybe even the 80s or the 90s. It's just the era that he's in, these days if you want to make money as an artist, especially in the past like 10, 15, 10 or 20 years, You had to go like full pop, full just like gimmicky crap. Look at somebody like Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, people usually don't know this. She started off as a jazz piano player. She would play jazz in clubs in New York. She actually played jazz like piano at a club that I once sort of performed at. We didn't perform it. It wasn't the same time period, or not really the same time period, and all that. But there is a club that she performed at, and I had performed there as well.
Mhm.
Although my performance wasn't as good as hers. I mean, if you see the video, if I'm not mistaken, there's actually documentation of it online, I think, or I read that she was there, but I think I saw even a video. So you see her sitting. She has like black hair. She doesn't have all the weird like stuff stuck to her face and all. She's not wearing all these weird like glittery clothes. She's just wearing regular clothes, like with black hair, sitting next to a piano, playing like jazz and singing. That's probably the highest quality stuff that I've seen her do. Do you get what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think that what happened was is that initially she started writing songs like through a label, like she gave them songs and they didn't even think of signing her because she didn't look, glamorous enough for them, or whatever you want to call it. And then at the end, like, I guess she came to the conclusion, if I do stupid pop songs, put on a bunch of like weird crap on my face and strange clothes, maybe they'll just let me do my own music. And at the end, somehow she did it. But she had to like really dumb down her music to an ex to make it like the dumbest pop possible, and that's what put her on the map. I'm not hating on them, not her, not Bruno Mars. I don't have anything against them, but they're obviously, in order to succeed today, you have to make kind of crap, you know?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's gotta fit the formula, and you gotta play the politics with the record company and everything. Yeah, you basically have to
And
make whatever crap
since
they
Jeanette
say
is
is gonna be big.
and since Jeanette is talking about lore, I'll explain what happened. Um, You know what? Nobody's gonna be able to find this anywhere anyways. I don't think anybody filmed me, and this is many years ago. There is a place called The Bitter End in the East Village in New York, and I think I don't even know if it's still open. They used to have like the main room downstairs that's like the bitter end, and then there was like a side room that you go up and it's called like the elbow room. Now, if you go to the elbow room, it's more of a jam. There's like musicians jamming, and it's more like a smaller space, and there's a lot of musicians jamming. And there was a friend I wanted to do something. She was in New York, somebody that I knew from somewhere else, and she was visiting here, and she's like, I really want to go to some cool place. So I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So we went to this place, we went upstairs, and all I planned to do was like to drink some whiskey and sit there and listen to these people jam. Are you with me?
Yep.
So what happened was is that I actually went there, and I had my whiskey and I sat there, and then I guess somebody from these jamming people, they're like, oh, like, does anybody want to join us? Because they're all, I guess, musicians, or there were other musicians. And she said, like, yes, like, he plays guitar, he can join you. And like, the truth is, it's not that I don't play guitar, but I didn't really think that, I wasn't 100% sure that, like, I didn't want to embarrass myself, you know what I mean? These were
Mhm.
pretty good musicians,
Oh, yeah.
but at this point already, like, I don't know what's worse. Like, either I look like an idiot that I'm not coming up, or like I look like a snob, and they're already like pulling out a guitar. Great, like, here you go. And like, I figured, like, fuck it. Sorry, Sean, fuck it. And then I just got up and I took the guitar and I played like a number of songs with them that were just like jamming. Somehow, like, I the bare minimum. It wasn't a disaster, but it was. I did like the minimum requirement of what like looks like I'm almost passable. So yeah, that's what happened at that silly place. And Lady Gaga played on kind of the main floor in that room, not in the same time, the different years. But it is what it is. Here, I gave you some lore.
Alright. So, yeah, there was a stage in New York where, Price bought drinks for Lady Gaga and then performed with her on stage. That's pretty awesome. We'll make
I
sure
didn't
to
do that. I didn't do that at all. Um, okay, well, that's that. And then I don't even know how we got. Oh, it's Kendrick Lamar. So I guess what I'm saying is that when Bruno Mars he was at the Super Bowl, the one thing that he knew how to do that I thought was smart is that, first of all, he's a lot more fun and festive and put on a show that even if you don't know who he is, you kind of enjoy at least the show that he's putting on. He has that minimum that he can do. In addition, and I thought this was very smart, he invited the Red Hot Chili Peppers to perform with him. Like they did like a track together. I think it was a track of theirs, and like they're all playing it together and like enjoying themselves. So that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? That shows that you're kind of
Mhm.
you're maybe a certain niche, but now you're bringing people from another niche and you're doing something together. Even and again, this wasn't a performance that I especially liked for many different reasons. But even when Coldplay performed, so they invited Beyonce and Bruno Mars, and they did stuff like they were performing a song together. That I think is like the Super Bowl done right. You know what I mean? You bring a few different people, even from different genres, and you bring them together and you do something cool. This Kendrick Lamar thing didn't feel like that at all. I didn't feel like they're bringing like different genres or crossing like, demographics or doing anything universal. This was very, very like, in my opinion, niche specific to people that like rap and they like current rap and they like his current rap and they care about his beef with Drake, which I couldn't care less about. If anything, go air your grievances and beef somewhere else. You know what I mean? I don't think the Super Bowl is the right place for it. And I guess the big thing in the Super Bowl is that there was a song that he was asked not to do. That there's a song called "Not Like Us" that he claims that Drake likes to review PDF files or something like that, and he was told not to play the song, but he did it anyways to show that he can sing that, rap that, or whatever it is. And it's like, dude, I don't really care about any of this. And
Yeah.
then I guess Serena Williams came out and did some kind of like kind of a crip dance or something. I don't know what. And it's like, oh, like, she's making a statement. What statement she's making, I don't even know. All of this just seemed really dumb to me. I'm sure there's some people that are wowed and blown away by it. Doesn't mean anything to me. Just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. I saw about 5 minutes of it,
Yeah, I mean,
but I
Whalem03
really
says
couldn't care less.
Whalem03 says Lil Wayne would have been a better performance. He has more crossover songs. Even then, I think that even if it's a Lil Wayne, it'd be nice to see him, collaborate, like I was explaining with the Chili Peppers, with Coldplay and like Beyonce and Bruno Mars, things like that. I like these kind of collaborations and showing like, different artists working together. I kind of like that. Uh, Little Wayne maybe would have been cool if there was a little bit of that involved in his set, but I will say he's been around for a longer time. He has more of a catalog, and I think some of his songs would be more known. It's not necessarily my preferred thing. It's not that like I dream of like a halftime show with Little Wayne, but at the same time, you know what? It probably would have been better than this Kendrick Lamar. Like Kendrick Lamar is very specific, and from what I remember, some of his rap is more like a bit political, a bit this, a bit that. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. Like I was kind of tuning out and bored from this performance here, so I wasn't even listening to all the lyrics or whatever it is. But I just if you like it, it's fine. I'm not trying to be a dick. You know what I mean? Like if you like Kendrick Lamar, it's totally fine. I think some people liked it. I thought I saw like Nina Infinity was like, oh, I love it. It's like that's cool. It's fine if you like him. There's nothing wrong with that. And then, oh, it's this is you. You're saying I take a stage full of 90-year-old rockers over hip hop and rap. There's certainly people they could have brought. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. I was talking about it with Tom and with Nick, that they could have done something like Metallica. I think that they haven't done one yet. There's certainly people that they could have brought. It doesn't even have to be like 90-year-olds. There's some groups that you could bring. Maybe a few different ones. A lot of
Yeah.
options. A lot of
Well,
options.
Folsom Lockdown, over on, Rumble had specifically mentioned AC/DC. So it's like, yeah, I would take some 80 and 90-year-old rockers out there before I would wanna see another, hip hop, or rap, act up there. Like,
Yeah, I
bring
mean,
back
it's
some
fine.
rock.
There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that there's a lot of different things. Plus, like 2022 was just recent. They had like this big, like spectacular hip hop celebration. I think that kind of covered it. You had Rihanna. I think that like this year was a time that they could have quietly brought something that was more, like a Metallica. Who did they have last year? I can't even remember. That's
Oh,
how like
goodness.
oh yeah, last year was like Usher. Usher
Was it?
was totally like a snooze.
Yeah, I honestly I didn't watch any of it last year. we we didn't have any services that had it on anywhere streaming or anything to watch it last year, and I really didn't care. So yeah, I didn't watch any of last year's Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Usher, I've always had like, mixed feelings about. Like Usher, they made it seem like he would be the next Michael Jackson. He is not the next Michael Jackson. He's not
Mm-mm.
close to being the next Michael Jackson. He simply doesn't have like the he doesn't have the vocal like, capabilities that Michael Jackson had. And also they're like, but he dances so well. I don't know, man. I think that Michael Jackson like probably sang and danced Usher under the table. But whatever, he performed, and I guess some ladies liked it, or somebody liked it, or who even knows?
Who
Uh,
knows?
Somebody says I've never listened to rock and roll before. Well,
Oh,
I I
well,
recommend it. It's pretty
that is
good.
yes. Now's the time to start. I-
Uh, Whalem said that Usher used to like oil.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few hundred bottles of that floating around. Yeah.
Pitbull, yeah, Pitbull. Interesting character. Uh, in any case, I guess I don't know how we got to all of this, but let's talk about some of today's events. We have the whole Trump. I saw him today sitting there. He What did he do today? He basically did like an executive order where he's saying that now DOGE is something that he's. Did he do this to try to bypass the judges that are trying to stop him from doing this? Something with this executive order with Musk today?
Yeah, I was kind of looking into it. It was part of it was some limits on hiring and in different agencies, making some changes to those. Let's see. I did see a bunch of the interview where they were talking to the well, not really interview, but where they were talking to the
Yeah,
press.
they're at the
Uh,
Oval Office.
but specifically, I think the executive order had something to do with hiring and reorganization in the different agencies. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
Yeah, if you have that
Um,
thing, we can just take a quick look at it. And
The White House has all the stuff.
I think maybe Elon shared it or Trump or somebody or both of them shared it. But there's one that's like 30 minutes. We don't need the whole 30-minute one. There's one that like I saw was more like a minute and a half. That's probably a better one.
Oh yeah, they talked for a long time about the executive order.
I mean, the one thing that I'll say is, and this is one thing that I can say about Trump, that I think is a plus. Uh, he does sit there and talk just without a teleprompter. He keeps talking to people, talking to people.
Absolutely,
You could argue maybe sometimes he talks too much and he says some crazy things, but at least he's there doing something. He seems at least like he cares enough to sit there and do something, and he can
yeah.
have the conversations with people. Sometimes he's just like, "Oh, whatever, let's take over Gaza. We'll turn it into, like, a vacation resort, like, let's take those other people and put them somewhere else." Like, he says, like, all this stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, "How is this ever gonna work?" So, I don't know. Sometimes I don't know what to make of what he says, you know?
Let's see. I've got I don't have the video. If you want to try and find a video, I do have the actual order though.
Well, you
Um,
can show the order, I'll try to find the
yeah,
video.
while you look for a shorter video, I have a video here, but it's pretty extensive.
Wait, here, I got it. I got something at least.
Okay. Well, here's the order. Oh, you have to put it in presentation mode.
Okay, let's
We can
put
just
in
kind of mention the
presentation.
order real quick. It's actually a fairly short order. It says its purpose is to restore accountability to the American public. This order commences a critical transformation of federal bureaucracy by eliminating waste, bloat, and insularity. My administration will empower American families, workers, and taxpayers, and our system of government itself. So, it talks about some of the different things here. Saying, as my authority vested in me as president, defining some stuff, what is an agency, who is the DOGE team lead, and so on and so forth. And so it talks about hiring ratios. including so the previous memorandum on the hiring freeze. Essentially, every the director of Office of Management and Budget, the OMB, will submit a plan to reduce the size of the federal government workforce through efficiency improvements and attrition. So they're kind of directly addressing some of the stuff that's come up with judges saying, oh, you can't fire people, you can't make them leave, whatever. They're kind of addressing some of that, saying, okay, you know what? While we work on that in the courts, here's this other order saying, you know what, all these different agencies need to tell us how they're going to start eliminating waste. How are they going to start making sure that they only have the workforce they need to accomplish the jobs, and they don't have all these extra positions, right? And it says this order does not affect the standing hiring freeze. This ratio shall not apply to functions related to public safety and so on. So it talks about the plan and everything that they're doing there. Hiring approval, each agency head shall develop a data-driven plan in consultation with DOGE. It will not include new career appointment hiring decisions. The agency shall not fill any vacancies for career appointments that the DOGE team lead assesses should not be filled. So it's very specifically saying there's a lot of different roles that you are not going to just be filling because you want to fill them. As we open these things, we're going to have a plan for hiring, and we're going to determine whether or not those are actually jobs that we need as we go through a reduction in force. So you can see the addressing the reduction in force here, where it does actually talk about, we have we're gonna prepare for large scale reductions in force, meaning we're going to be cutting some of these agencies to the bone. We're not going to have, where we had 500 employees. If the job can be done by 50 people, then we're going to get the job done with 50 people. Right. So major reductions in force, many of them necessary. We have extremely bloated, bureaucratic offices and agencies. And so a lot of them are very simply saying, look, we don't need all these people. There are things we can do to implement technology. There's things that we can do to improve the efficiency of the way this job is done that doesn't require all of this manpower. It doesn't require all this people power in place to make it happen. So it sets up various different roles for DOGE, and then there's a few exclusions like military and some other things. But yeah, it's basically saying, the director of OMB is going to get us some plans. We're going to start looking at various positions to determine whether or not those are actually necessary. And the government needs to start making plans for a very significant reduction in force. So yeah, that's the big one that they shared today. So
Do you think that that this will help with some of these judges that are trying to stop this from happening? Does this
well,
help in any way?
I think in some ways it will. In others, we're just going to have to wait for either those decisions to be, appealed or maybe vacated in some way. I'll be completely honest. I think the thing that I want to see most, I want to see the legislature. I want to see the House and the Senate stepping in and helping to put some of this into law. That is the thing that could very quickly and easily shut down any court challenges to this stuff, because most of the time what they're saying is, "Oh, well, you as an executive, you don't have the power to do that." If we started to see the House and the Senate stepping in to actually pass something, this could save a lot of trouble, a lot of argument, complaints, and whatever. Of course, the House and Senate, even though the Republicans control both of those bodies at this point, they're still afraid to do anything because their most important concern is still whether or not they can get reelected. And so you still have two very paralyzed bodies that do almost nothing. It's absurd. And in some cases, quite literally paralyzed, as we saw with the Democrat in the House who had a seizure while he was speaking.
I didn't see that.
Oh, yes. I think it was
But,
Scribelight shared a video yesterday. There's a senator speaking, not senator, excuse me, a member of the House who was speaking on whatever it was. I think he was talking about deportations and stuff. And in the middle, he just stood there and stopped speaking
that's
for
weird.
like for
But
for
by the way, quickly, I want to say that based on a conversation that we had prior to the stream, the professor was telling me how most chats have like a mod, and I guess I don't. Uh, I just wasn't really thinking about stuff like that. But I gave Adam Gray a wrench, so at least
Woohoo!
there's one person here that can look out just to make sure that everything's okay. I don't really know much about about this stuff, but if it helps somehow, then I'm happy to give it to the wrench to Adam Gray. And Adam Gray, if you see something suspicious, then you can do something.
Yeah, if something happens,
Something happens, then
Adam can pounce on it
right,
like
exactly.
some sort of ocelot or
Yeah,
something.
maybe over time
A
we'll add
ghost.
more. Maybe over time we'll add more. I just like
Sure.
I understand that I don't have any, so
Yeah.
you know.
You have a couple who are around pretty regularly on for some of your other chats, but not usually
Right,
at this time of night. So yeah,
exactly. I thought Sean was a moderator,
I think
but
I am and Sean is, yeah,
I see. I think
and then
you
I
and
think
Sean
backyard TARDIS is
backyard
as
TARDIS,
well.
yes. Well, back they make like guest appearances
I
sometimes,
know
so I guess
they're
it's
hardly
more.
ever here. So
But by the way, if you're watching now and this is your first time watching this stream, if you feel like either pressing a like button or even following us or subscribing or whatever platform you're watching this on, you're welcome to subscribe and follow because that's always really good. That's the best thing you can do is that you could subscribe because that way when we stream you'll know and
yes.
you got to hear more of this. So yeah. In any case, you were saying that there was that Caesar seizure thing. Let me see if
Oh
I can
goodness.
find it.
Yeah. Oh, I could find it pretty quick here.
Let's see if I can find. Okay, I missed it. I actually usually see the stuff that Scribelight sometimes he even tags me in it, but I guess this one didn't seem like something to tag people in. Can't seem to find it.
Here, I can pull it up here. Um, let's see if I can
Did you find it?
share. Yeah, I'm going to close my chat window here. Then I can share it. There we go. So yeah, Scribelight uh, said I think we saw him having a stroke. I chimed in and said actually this has all the telltale signs of what's called an absence seizure. It's very common in in not common, but it more frequently happens in children, but it can happen in elderly adults. And yeah, you can see what happens here.
No one on the Republican side in the House and Senate is going to speak up.
Is it stuck?
Challenge us.
No, he's stuck.
Ah, I see what you mean.
See him rolling his tongue around in his mouth and smacking his
Yeah,
lip.
I thought it was like buffering, but he's buffering.
Yes.
But we need to protect Americans' privacy and their social security.
Did somebody help this guy because he seems like he needs
There's
help?
nobody there. To help.
40%
There's literally like
of all
3 people
Americans,
in the room, 4 people in the room.
Social Security is the basis for their retirement and their retirement savings.
So yeah, this is this has all the signs of what's called an absence seizure. What typically happens, you don't actually lose control of your body. You don't. It's not like a stroke where, like, half of your body is no longer functioning because your brain is has blood cut off to it or whatever. With an absence seizure, typically you basically sort of freeze up in the middle of whatever it is you're doing. The lip smacking and rolling his tongue around his mouth, also a telltale sign of that. And then the other thing with the absence seizure is that when it's over, you basically just continue doing what you were doing.
I see.
And so you can see that, like, he kind of slowly comes right back into what he was doing before that. Like, he's checked out for a minute. Dude is 76 years old. I mean, you see all these people who are talking about this, talking about how it's basically like elder abuse, man. It's wild. It's wild that
I mean,
we
listen,
continue
there's
to have
different.
these
I,
elderly people.
I
And
I I said the same thing, when you see, like, Trump and his age and Biden, I've had relatives in my family that they reach this age, and, I had a, relative that until, like, 95, 96 was still walking around, managing his own affairs, going outside, doing everything. Uh,
sure,
I had a relative like that, and then I had another relative that were around the, late '70s, early '80s, started kind of forgetting and really not, forgetting a lot of things, if you understand what I mean. So,
absolutely, yeah,
it just I think that once you reach those later ages, it could work out in a lot of different directions. Somebody is in his 70s should be able to, to stand here and make some arguments. But, yeah, we don't know exactly what, medical issues he has. It just seems like somebody should have helped him, and nobody seemed to, but it is what it is.
yeah. Well, there was hardly anyone there to help if something did happen.
Jamalema, I had a professor, but she kept repeating herself. Thank God somebody caught it quick. I was clueless. I think I told you that, I must have told you this, that I had a friend. Uh, this already happened maybe like, I want to say 7, 8 years ago. I don't remember now. I met up with a friend, like, childhood friend that I hadn't seen in many years. And we went to some kind of, it was like a club that had a performance, but it wasn't like a concert. You know what I mean? It was more like you're sitting in a club, not with a million people, that there's just somebody performing there. And maybe one or two songs into the performance, he suddenly said that, like, half his body, he couldn't feel it, and
Mhm.
I know that that's bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I ended up, I was there with another few friends. We quickly grabbed him. We kind of somehow, like, carried him outside, put him in. I don't know if this was a smart thing to do. I probably we were stupid, but we put him in a car and we drove to the nearest hospital. And it was a strange situation, but because the hospital didn't take it seriously because he was young. Usually, like, they see a young guy, they're like, we don't see anything wrong with him. There's, like, something wrong with him. I think that he had, like, a mini. I don't want to say. I don't know what he had. I speculated that maybe he had, like, a mini, event.
Yeah, if you're talking about, yeah, not feeling, not being able to use half of your body, that's definitely a type of stroke. It
Right, and
although it could technically there could be types of seizures that could cause something similar, but it sounds like
maybe
a stroke.
maybe I asked him a few questions about our childhood, and he made mistakes in the answers, so I was really, like, freaking out. And at the hospital, they're like, "Oh, like, we got people here. We've been waiting for hours in this emergency room. There's this, like, old person." I'm like, "It doesn't matter that he's not old. Like, this looks, like, really serious to me." But they did a CAT scan. I guess they didn't find anything immediate. Whatever it was, it came and went. And
Mhm.
yeah, but you never know in life. Things are strange, and you always
Yeah.
have to pay attention to that. I don't think that I did anything great by bringing him to the hospital. Maybe it was something that would have just gone away with rest. But it was certainly, as somebody witnessing it, it was really, you know, stressful. It
No,
was
absolutely
it was
understood.
like more stress. I don't want to say it was more stressful to be me than him, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
trying to say.
I have a very good friend who, his father, had a stroke. Of course, he was older. He was in his early 60s, but I mean, he wasn't particularly old, but he was in his early 60s. Had a stroke in his sitting in his study upstairs. And He was not home alone, but his wife was downstairs in the kitchen. He was tried hollering for her. She couldn't hear him. So he dragged himself with one arm functioning, dragged himself to the stairs, and it literally had to just toss himself down the stairs, like drag himself down the
That's
stairs.
terrible.
Yeah, well, if he hadn't done that, he probably would have died, and, because there was no one up there to help him. She wasn't coming up there. She couldn't hear him as when he was trying to holler for help, and, but she heard him falling down the stairs, and they were able to holler, get somebody to come, get an ambulance there and to help, but yeah, no, it's a really terrifying situation when you're around somebody and they're not making sense, or they can't move part of their body. We actually had my sister-in-law. She had an issue where she started having her part of her face wouldn't move, and she was freaking out, and she like wasn't making sense, and I mean it just ended up it's a type of palsy, right, where it can come and go.
Like Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy, yeah, and so,
I
uh,
can't believe I knew something.
we were there sitting with her, and we were like, "Holy hell, this is terrifying." Like
Yeah, I knew a person that suddenly, like,
yeah,
half their face, something happened, and it was Bell's palsy.
yeah,
And this woman was really stressed at the beginning, and I not that, honestly, I didn't really know anything, but I'm happy I said the right thing. I said to her, "Listen, just give it time. It's gonna be okay. You're gonna be back. It's gonna be fine." Honestly, I don't know why I said this because I didn't know anything about it, but thankfully she did. I guess I was trying to encourage her, and
mhm.
I saw her, like, a month or two later. She was doing much better. So
Yeah, yeah, typically, people recover fully from Bell's palsy. It's a temporary thing.
that's what I thought. I didn't even
Yeah.
know, but it sounded like a nice thing to say at that moment. I mean, I wanted to be encouraging. Maybe it's not nice to encourage if you don't know what you're
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah.
But
You know what? I think it's always when someone's experiencing some kind of very scary thing that's happening to them. I think it's always a good idea to be sort of encouraging to, like, "Hey, you're gonna be all right. I'm here for you," that kind of a thing.
yeah,
Like,
you say a few
it's
nice
that's just
things. No,
that's
but
what you say to try and well, because otherwise,
I was
if you start
sincere. I was
freaking them
sincere.
out, then
It's
yeah.
it's not that I didn't want her to get better, but I could have done maybe more research before, like, sounding so serious about her getting better. But you know what? It ended up working out. So in this case, what could have been a situation that I was kind of a false hope douche guy ended up okay in this one instance. Let's
Mhm.
see this clip with Elon and Trump in the Oval Office.
The people voted for major government reform. There should be no doubt about that. That was on the campaign. The president spoke about that at every rally. The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get. They're going to get what they voted for. And a lot of times, that people that don't get what they voted for, but in this presidency, they are going to get what they voted for, and that's what democracy is all about. The people voted for.
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up, I guess, what was going on there in the meeting. But there was another thing that I guess they said that Elon Musk lied. Did you hear about this?
Mhm.
They said they said that he lied because he said that they were sending 50 million condoms to Gaza,
Yeah,
but then
$50 million worth of condoms to Gaza, yeah.
right, but what some reporter told him is that actually that it's not they weren't sent to Gaza in the Middle East. They were sent to Gaza in Mozambique. So like
Yeah.
he was saying that like they were giving like the Hamas or whatever like $50 million worth of condoms, but they said they were giving it to somebody in like Mozambique. And I think his answer, I don't know if I can find it, that he said something like that it doesn't really matter who they gave it to, like
Yeah,
whether it's
I think
Gaza
the
or
first thing he said, if I remember correctly, the first thing he said during that interview was, or during that, press, time was, "You know what? I'm not always gonna be correct, or not everything I say is gonna be correct." And then he said, "I'm not nobody bats 1,000." Uh, and then, essentially said that, all I'm doing all of this in the public, and I've got I remember he said something to the effect of, "I have people giving me proctology exams all day long, so much that you might as well just stay up there."
he said that.
Yes. I'd have to
That's
find
so
the clip.
that's kind of
Yeah.
wacky.
But essentially saying, look, I'm doing all this in the public. I'm talking about all this in the public. And yeah, no, what I said, that's true. They were not they were for Gaza in Mozambique. Yes, but still, do you genuinely believe we need to spend $50 million to send condoms to people in Mozambique?
So the at a high level, if you say what is the goal
I don't know if
of
this is it. I'm
DOGE,
just interested in what this
and
is.
I think a significant part of this the presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, we'd have to if you it's all right. So, tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit. And if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But and if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really want to say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country. And it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There were a number of questions during that time about how, who are you accountable to, essentially saying, what's to keep you from abusing your power so that you're going to make sure that you get all these grants and things, and who's going to make sure that you're not, making sure that you get all your payments and
I mean,
you know.
I've said it before. It's legitimate to say that he has a lot of power. It's one man with a lot of power. It's something
Sure.
that's worth mentioning. But at the same time, on the flip side, I can also understand arguments that it's not like the Democrats don't have billionaires that back and bankroll them. So, uh, you know, I guess there's two sides to the coin, but yeah, he does have a lot of power, and I can only hope that he'll do good with that power. But when it comes to looking at the government expenses and some of these agencies are just spending a lot of money, I think it's there's certain situations that they've looked into it and there's like $100 billion that disappeared. That's a concern. $100 billion is a lot of Americans working and paying for that money. So
Absolutely.
that's already not like not like $5 got lost somewhere.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Here, I think I have found the clip here. Let me see if I can share that real quick. So this was later on in some of the comments. They were talking to him about stuff here. So
at a high level, okay, well, what are the two ingredients that are really necessary in order to cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1 trillion? And it's really two things: competence and caring. And if you add competence and caring, you'll cut the budget deficit in half. And I fully expect to be scrutinized and get a daily proctology exam, basically. Might as well just camp out there. So it's not like I think I can get away with something. I'll be scrutinized nonstop. But with support of the president, we can cut the budget deficit in half from 2 trillion to 1, and then with deregulation, because there's a lot of sort of regulations that don't ultimately serve the public good. We need to free the builders of America to build, and if we do that, that means I think we can get the economic growth to be maybe 3-4%, maybe 5%. And that means if you can get $1 trillion of economic growth and you cut the budget deficit by $1 trillion, between now and next year, there is no inflation. There's no inflation in 26. And if the government is not borrowing as much, it means that interest costs decline. So everyone's, the mortgage, their car payment, their credit card bills, anything, their student debt, the monthly payments drop. That's a fantastic scenario for the average American.
So yeah, he went on to say a number of other things, but he was specifically, at one point talking about how, I I am going to be scrutinized like crazy. There's going to be people watching everything we do, and we post everything that's happening. We show all of it on the Doge website. So I don't know how you think I'm going to be getting away with stuff. Like it's all happening in the public, and there's people watching everything I do. So I'm not sure where this perception is that I'm going to be getting away with things comes from.
Well, this is the thing with whatever that was with condoms. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
You
And
said,
this is big numbers. Talking about $100 to $200 billion a year.
Sure.
Serious money.
Mr. Musk, you said on X
Yeah.
that an example of the fraud that you have cited was $50 million of condoms was sent to Gaza. But after fact check this, apparently Gaza in Mozambique, and the program was to protect them against HIV. So can you correct the statements? It wasn't sent to Hamas, actually. It was sent to Mozambique, which makes sense why condoms was sent there.
Yeah.
And how can we make sure that all the statements that you said were correct, so we can trust what you're saying?
Well, first of all, some of the things that I say will be incorrect and should be corrected. So nobody's going to bat 1,000. I mean, we will make mistakes, but we'll act quickly to correct any mistakes. I'm not sure we should be sending $50 million worth of condoms to anywhere, frankly. I'm not sure that's something Americans would be really excited about. And that is really an enormous number of condoms when you think about it. If it went to Mozambique instead of Gaza, I'm like, okay, that's not as bad, but still, why are we doing that?
Mr. Musk, can you talk?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think she's really dwelling here on the wrong issue. Meaning, if it was Gaza and Mozambique or the other Gaza, why are they sending $50 million worth of condoms?
We need to spend all that money to stop HIV.
You know, I'm
Is
not.
it doing that though?
It probably isn't doing anything. And I have a question, and I know you're gonna laugh at me because I don't know. Didn't they already make it so that, like, today, if you have that, it's not I want to say it's not a death sentence. You could still get some kind of treatment or something.
Oh
Like,
yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I think,
And the drugs are fairly inexpensive too.
right. I think that these days, I mean, you have to take pills, and it's probably a nuisance. But I think that it's certainly not the same as it was all those years ago.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm enjoying. I see that a lot of people, new people, are kind of listening and joining us today. If you're enjoying hanging out with us, once again, feel free to, follow or like and subscribe. Just see like a nice turnout of people, and we're always happy to meet new people. So, just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. As Jamalana said in the chat, that was not spent all on condoms. Yeah, no, I guarantee it wasn't. Probably 2/3 of that went entirely to administrative overhead. And maybe some of that got handed out to some other NGOs and some other groups, on the actual, in the field in Mozambique or whatever. Those took another 60% off the top, and then they spent the rest on buying some condoms that they handed out for free. Yeah.
Uh, who's the welfare queen? I feel like I missed something going on in the chat here, but I don't even know what's.
Someone was referring to Elon as a welfare queen. I think it was Adam.
Oh, I
I don't know if that's particularly accurate, but I mean, he does get a lot of money from the government. But there's absolutely no question. But he gets a
he
lot
does
of that
provide some kind
for
of service. I mean,
services. Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what. I think that when it comes to that SpaceX stuff, I think he does well, and
absolutely.
no, nobody else is really doing that. He took over basically what NASA used to do. He does do that efficiently. What I
And he
recently
does it
said that
damn
I felt
well. Yeah.
What I recently told you that I felt, I don't know if to say it's a bit much, but I like that he got involved. He lives in America and he got involved and he wanted things to be more efficient. And I think that's overall a good thing. Sometimes when I start seeing him kind of intervene in like elections abroad in different places, I start thinking to myself, well, he doesn't really live in those places. You know what I mean? I can only say about myself that if I live somewhere, or I've lived in a place for a long time, and I understand all the ins and outs of it, then I think that I have a more kind of educated idea of who should be in charge there or things like that. It's not that like if you don't live in a different country you can't criticize it, but I don't know. I mean, I just there were times that I saw that he was really like leaning into other elections, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's a lot of power and a lot of wielding of power, but it's not necessarily that I can see something right now and say like, "Oh, he did this, he did that," but I'm just saying that it's a lot of power for one man to have, and I can only hope that whatever power he have will be used for good things. But I guess you could say that about anybody with power.
Hmm.
I guess I'm a realistic person. You know what I mean? In general, I'm always kind of even though uh, we talk a lot about politics and things like that. There's always a part of me that's a bit wary of politicians, and you never know anything. And when you're dealing with people with a lot of money and a lot of power, you never know what'll happen. But I think that people are hoping that maybe something good will happen, and that's all we can do. Yeah, I guess
Absolutely.
Mary White said, "With great power comes great responsibility."
Absolutely.
It is a very, very, true sentence. Out of all the comic book stuff, all the, like, different comic books that you'll see or movies or books or whatever, I think that sentence is actually very smart. "With great power comes great responsibility." That's actually a very smart thing. It's an important lesson. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I've always liked that first Spider-Man movie.
Hmm.
That Uncle Ben tells him that sentence, and then that's probably like the one of the last things that Uncle Ben tells him,
Yeah.
and he doesn't
And
implement
it's
it.
yeah, it's carried out, as a very important part of that character and how he sees his role in the world. That yeah, as he gains power, he gains the abilities that he has, and it's his it's his role then, because of he's been given that power, to then be responsible with it and do the right thing. And sometimes he doesn't do that, and he realizes that yeah, he needs to make sure that he is acting in the best way that he possibly can to be responsible with the gifts that he's been given. So yeah, it's a very important message.
Somebody called the Squirt Queen 592 says, "Hi, I have a question if you don't mind." Well, if you're the Squirt Queen, I mean, how could I say no?
Hello.
I can't find her now. I want to see if I can highlight this thing. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what you wanted to ask, Squirt Queen, but you're welcome to try. Did you see that squirt thing, or am I
Yes,
imagining it?
yes, I see it.
I don't know what that means. I would answer your question if. Oh, here you go. I think I found it. Just so people won't think I'm crazy. The Squirt Queen 592 says, "I have a question if you don't mind." Well, I'm right here. You can ask me the question. And with a screen name like yours, I'm genuinely curious to see what this question is going to be.
Oh
I
boy.
feel like you know those emails where like they're trying to sell you a Russian bride. I feel like this is one of those situations.
Very, very, very possible. Uh,
I used to get a lot of those. And sometimes, like, I wanna answer them. You know, there's a part of me that, like, is sometimes baffled by the wording of some of these, like, type of emails, uh, but the smart thing is not to actually engage in that because it's some kind of weird spam, so I don't
yeah,
even wanna reply, but there have been times that, like, I had some thoughts, but I
yeah,
left it alone. Same
yes,
thing
that,
with, like, Twitter, when you go into Twitter, you have, like, the section of DMs that you actually press that are, like, the hidden DMs that they put, like, a spam filter on it, and then you click on it if you wanna see what your spam folder is, and then sometimes in the spam folder, you get, like, a legitimate person, but then other times, most of them are just, like and for me, it's funny because look at my avatar, they're like, "My sister saw your profile, and she immediately fell in love with you. Do you wanna marry her?" I'm like, "Lady, she saw, like, a orange puppet and fell in love, like, she wants to." I wanna answer those guys too, but I
yes,
don't do that. Those ladies,
uh,
I don't answer them either.
yes, I get frequent, too frequent things, offers that if I'm lonely and I need someone to talk to, there's this very attractive lady who likes to show off her assets in her profile picture, whose name is Jenna 238 365 22332, and really really wants to be friends with me. I get lots of those, and then I also get, for some reason, constant offers to help me improve my reach on X, and how can I market my brand better and all sorts of stuff. I get those like every other day. Like, go away.
Yep. Definitely crazy times. I think
Yeah.
I told you this before. I must have told you that back in the day they had a lot of those Nigerian prince emails, and then I once met a guy who claimed to be a Nigerian prince, and then he stole $20 from me. I told you this. I must have told you this story, but it is a true story.
The Nigerian prince
The
stealing
Nigerian
money.
prince, a Nigerian
Price of reason.
prince, but not in the email form. Like one guy that claimed to be a Nigerian prince, I gave him $20 and he disappeared and never gave them back to me. That really did happen. So if anybody ever comes up to you at a party with some kind of story that he's a Nigerian prince, it's the same as the email. Just so you know.
Oh boy.
So yeah, so I think that this whole DOGE thing, I guess they're going to move to the Department of Education after they're done, like doing whatever they're doing with USAID.
Yeah, they're doing the USAID. They're working in the Treasury. One of the things that was interesting, that was quite amusing, that they were talking about during that press conference today. They were talking to the press about the different moves that he's taken with the Treasury and all sorts of stuff, and they were talking about, like, some of the stuff that they were doing was absolutely insane. It's stuff that controls that you should have in any business, any modern business, and it's like it's stuck in the 1960s. They mentioned a couple of different things. One of them was that essentially, like, there's this whole system that's set up to make payments, and you want ways to say, stop payment on this, stop payment on that, so that you can ensure that you're not, overpaying, or you're not paying something that, should not have been paid because something's changed in the law, or something's changed because of employment or whatever. And there's this whole system of stuff that's set up, and there's lists of different agencies, or organizations, groups, people that go on to lists that are do not pay list, like, uh hey, we found out that this organization is helping fund training Al Qaeda agents or whatever, and so we're not going to pay that organization. You get on that list, and it can take up to a year for that list to propagate to all the agencies, and then the Treasury Department just doesn't even look at it. They don't care.
I see.
And then they had a bunch of other stuff they're talking about, like, there's no system there for ensuring that that the payments are actually being handled appropriately. Oh, good night, Ron Donofrio. Thanks for hanging out with us. Take care. Have a good night.
Good night, man.
So they were talking about how you would make payments in this system, and in a system, a business system today, where if you make a payment, basically you cut a check or you cut a payment, you're going to write down not just how much was paid, you're going to write down what you paid for, and maybe even some comments about why that payment was made at that time. And so there's going to be a record of, here was this payment, here's what it was for, whatever. Here's who approved the payment, and it goes into the system. There's none of that. Payments just go to people, and there's nothing in there about why they were paid or what appropriation, made that payment possible. Nothing. Nothing in there at all for controls to say these things should be maintained and whatever. Why should we make this payment? So there's all sorts of wild stuff, just controls that would be in a modern business that are just nowhere inside the treasury, and ensuring that these payments are legitimate. And there was one other thing. This is hilarious, and I will share this here. This came up as well. Let me pull this up here. Did you see this?
What is it?
The federal employee retirements, the way that they are handled to this day, because of the way that some laws were written, some various different things were written back in the 1960s.
Okay.
Federal employment retirement is still handled entirely on paper. It's handled by hand in a limestone mine in Pennsylvania.
It's crazy.
You have to ride a rickety old elevator down into the mines, 230 feet underground. There are 700 employees working in this place. When I saw this, I'm like, this is where they put the Ark of the Covenant. It's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it does look like that warehouse for sure.
It's hidden in here. This is where we're going to find the Ark of the Covenant. There's alien bodies hidden somewhere in here. Because of this absolutely archaic process, the federal government can only handle around 10,000 applications for retirement in a month. If someone exceeds that, then their retirement just doesn't get processed. It gets pushed off until later.
Wow.
They've also had issues not just with how long it takes to handle all of these paper records stored in manila envelopes in cardboard boxes in a limestone mine in Pennsylvania. If the elevator is out of service, they just can't go down there and work. And so none of the applications, none of the paperwork that needs to be accessed down there gets touched for however long it takes for them to fix the freaking elevator.
Wow.
So it's insane. These are the kinds of things in a modern organization, a modern business. This is all computerized. It has all been moved out of paper records. It's all been moved on to systems where you can handle things in a few minutes time. You can go in. You can go into the systems at most organizations. If you want retirement, you can go in and you can simply send an email to someone in HR, or you can even go online and start filling out forms saying, here's my retirement plan. Here's when I'm planning to retire from my job. I'm 6 months from now or a year from now or whatever. And you start the process that way, and it's almost entirely handled electronically. But here we've got government workers' records hiding out down there with the cup of Christ or whatever else they might have hidden
looks
away.
like it also it could look like Dr. Evil's underground lair in Austin Powers. There's like one that he has like in a mountain, you know what I mean? Like it kind of looks like his warehouse as well.
Dun, 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 dun.
I could totally see. I just need him with the pinky finger, and he totally looks like he would run an operation here. By the way, I have this silly thing that I wanted to share also, on topic. Let's see.
Now, the disruptor in chief, Elon Musk, who apparently has adopted the alias, at least he changed his social media handle to Harry Balls, tweeted this morning, "Democracy in America is being destroyed by judicial coup. An activist judge is not a real judge." And as for now, the disruptor.
So people were saying that he just enjoys
Yes.
seeing CNN having to say these names,
Exactly. That's the whole
sitting
point.
around like,
It's a troll that he's getting them to
he's getting
say
them to say big balls and
Harry
hairy balls.
Balls on the news.
He
That's
is
the
kind of a
whole
troll.
point.
But yeah,
And they
just
still do it. They could just refer to him as Elon Musk on Twitter. They don't even have to mention that he changed his screen name to Harry Balls, but they can't help themselves.
no, it's too now it's like that same relationship. A long time they hated Trump, but they couldn't stop talking about him.
Oh yeah, no, they can't stop. They're absolutely addicted. I mean, you thought like they spent all those years during his first term just talking about Trump and and panicking about Trump day in and day out, nonstop. And then you thought, well, now he's out of office. At least this can stop. No, they spent the next 4 years while Biden was in office talking nonstop about Trump because they had nothing else. That was it. That's all
So
I could think of to do. Just talk about Trump all day long, every day. And then, of course, now he's back in office. So, a lot of them are trying that again, but the winds have changed. And now people don't want to hear your crazy conspiracy theories about Trump anymore. Did you see that he now has the highest approval rating ever?
right,
He
he
has the
actually he does have, and this was coming from like one of those show places like CBS. We're saying that he has a very high approval
Yeah,
rating.
his approval rating has only gone up since having taken office, and it has not only has it gone up generally, that was from I think YouGov or one. It was I don't know. Remember, it was one of the. It's one of the sites that does a lot of polls that are generally very slanted to the left, and it still showed basically, across the board, his approval rating had risen. And you know what really got under their skin, really pissed him off?
What?
His approval rating since taking office went up with young people, the 18 to 28 crowd. It went up with Latinos. It went up with Black Americans. All of these groups that the Democratic Party takes as rote, they take them for granted that they are going to vote Democrat, that they are on their side. The young people, the Black and Latino groups, and other, they are behind Trump in big numbers, and it's only gone up since he took office, and they are freaking out.
Yeah, none of this surprises me. I think that ever since his election, I think that the mainstream media, this legacy media, has really gotten like a slap in the face. And
Oh yeah.
it's just like they tried to sell so many stories over the years, and nobody really cares now. Even they're not even sitting around. Before that, all day they talked about his court cases and whatever. Nobody's talking about anything now. Nobody cares. Even these media people have nothing to say. These legacy media people.
Well, if you'll remember it during his first term, they doubled down on this line that he was a Russian asset. That he was being influenced by Russia and had all these influence operations, and there's all these people underneath him who were Russian assets and so on, and then all of it turned out to complete a total hoax. It was literally research from one guy that was paid for by Hillary Clinton. It
Right.
was complete garbage, and it always was. That really dug into people's credibility in the media. And
For
then
sure.
they, after the past 4 years of telling us that Trump was the mustache man, that he's going to come in and he's going to take control of the government and turn it into a dystopia. He's going to, make this, he's going to come in his first day in office. He's going to be a complete totalitarian, and he's gonna ruin our democracy and stuff. And then they saw him talking about all sorts of common sense things that they all agreed with, like ending corruption in the government, saving money, balancing the budget, all of this stuff. And they thought, that doesn't look like Mustache Man to me. And so they continued to get further and further away from the narrative that was being pushed by the mainstream media, and their credibility is just gone. It's gone.
We've known this for many years, so
Yeah.
it's not a shock to us. I feel like a lot of people just caught up with us, what
Yeah.
we've known for years now.
Yeah.
And part of what we started is that we were criticizing companies like Disney. Well, now Disney, I guess there was a Wall Street Journal expose that they were talking about how Disney, in order to continue to prop up the numbers for the theme parks, they just keep raising prices on everything there. This again doesn't surprise me. I don't know why it surprises the Wall Street Journal. Already, maybe like 5 years ago or something, there was something that there was a dip in attendance in the theme parks, and Bob Iger said in one of those meetings, he said, "Don't worry, we've offset the fact that there's less people by increasing the prices on food." And it's like, that doesn't seem like a good way to solve your problems. I don't like this mentality. And I feel like over the past 5 years, they continue each time that they see there's like a deficit and they're going to show the investors that there isn't enough money. They just keep making their stuff more expensive and more expensive. It used to be that you had like a special VIP pass, like a fast pass, but they canceled it. And each time now, like if you're a family and you want to actually go through the lines quick, or you want to make sure you can go to any of the rides or whatever it is, each thing is another premium that they charge you. And at the end, they were comparing what it used to be, that you used to be able to take a family of 4 people for, like, adjusted for inflation, like $200 or something. You used to be able to take a family of 4 for the day. Now it's just like one person costs that, meaning they've managed to make it like, 3, 4, 5 times more expensive with all of their additions. And I guess people are starting to take notice of it. And even in the Wall Street Journal, they were just saying, like, it's not a great strategy, really criticizing for it. And at the end, people this is a good time for Universal, for those, they were mentioning the article, I think also Busch Gardens. I don't know if anybody actually goes to Busch Gardens, but let's just say that Universal is doing a lot of good things there. And
Yes, they are.
both in California and in Florida, they have a lot to offer. And I think that I don't know. I wonder if one day this is gonna bite Disney in the ass. I will say this: they keep on doing dumb stuff, but they're such a big company and big brand that they still can do it. It seems like at some point they won't be able to, but they continue to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think,
I
Professor?
wish I could remember the actual term that he used. He said so. It was hilarious. It was the most like newspeaky thing you can imagine when he was talking about, like, oh, there's fewer people coming, so we're gonna do something, and I cannot remember
Didn't he say
exactly
like
how
that
he
he was
worded it.
offsetting? Yeah, he did like an offsetting of the thing, or I don't know what. He had some fancy way of explaining it, but all I understood is he saw less people, so he made the people that he's punishing the people that do show up and making them pay more. That's all I know. It's like
Yeah. The way he said it was hilarious. It was like it reminded me of the from from the episode of The Simpsons where Lisa is president, which also the episode of The Simpsons that predicted Donald Trump as president. But the episode where she's president in the future, where they have a huge tax hike, but they changed the naming of it to a temporary refund adjustment. Right? It was some like nonsensical doublespeak language like that he said. Yeah, they're that they would offset. It's exactly what he was saying, Price. He was saying, yeah, we don't have as many people coming, so we're just going to charge the people who are coming more.
it's such a crappy thing to say. You know what I mean? It's like you're punishing the people that actually came because other people didn't come, and yeah, I don't know. I think I actually read the article before, and that's what it said. But maybe there's something interesting that they were talking about. I think okay. Wall Street Journal report highlighted an alarming statistic. Since 2019, the cost of a 4-day Disney vacation for a family of 4 has skyrocketed by more than $1,000, with nearly 80% of that increase coming from new fees on services that were once included. Yeah, it's the same idea. Every time that he sees that something's going down, he's just shoving it somewhere else. The death of the Fast Pass, once it was free, now they take $15 per ride, $40 a day per person. They keep taking more money. Ticket prices here, this is what they said, $194 per person before tax. It used to be that, like, if you adjust for inflation, $262, you took a family of 4. So this is a significant increase. Even when adjusted for inflation, they've just, they don't care anymore. They just want a ton of money.
Nope.
Uh,
They're planning on those people who are the evergreen people who are always coming, the big fans, the whales who are always showing up. Some of them physically look like whales, others just spend a lot of money. But yes, they just keep showing up. So like, hey, yeah, these people are going to be here all the time. So
let's just squeeze more money
let's
out of
just
them.
squeeze more money out of them. Yep.
Exclusive access for the elite, the once free extra magic hours for resort guests has been replaced with extended evening hours, but only for those staying at Disney's most expensive hotels where rooms can exceed $1,000 a night. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of crappy too. And I mean, this article says that there's internal panic at Disney after this expose in the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah,
That
it
they're
has
sort of
definitely hurt them.
they're trading long-term loyalty for short-term profits. They've been doing this for years. And then I guess the response is, we offer options. That's the way they kind of explained what they're doing.
Mhm.
What I will say, and I've said this before, I know a guy that works like in finance, and he's sometimes in a situation where people ask him where to invest their money and things like that, and he always, even no matter what I tell him about Disney and the movies and the parks and whatever, he always has a pretty positive feeling about Disney. And it annoys me. I tell him, didn't you see the box office? Didn't you see that they failed? Didn't they say that you see that they lied and it cost them a lot more than this? And they lost billions at the box office. Don't you see what's happening with the parks? Don't you see what's happening with their brands? And he told me something like, they're a company that's so big that they can afford to do so many stupid things and it still won't matter. Between their assets, the different assets that they have, they can still somehow make it work, even with like so many dumb, stupid mistakes and dumb things that they do. And I just wonder, like, if there will ever be a moment where that'll stop. Because years ago, there was one time they almost went bankrupt, right?
It's happened. They've had times, yeah, when they were very, very lean and nearly hit a point where they couldn't actually meet their financial obligations. Yeah, it's happened. The back before, uh, who was in the 90s? I can't remember. Yeah, they had some time in the 90s when they were really struggling.
But by the way, the big ship is now, a member of the channel. Thank you,
Yes,
Big
saw
Ship. I
that. Thank you, Big
appreciate it.
Ship.
That's strange to me. I thought that he would already be a member. I think once he like bought a bunch of memberships for people, so it surprises me. Maybe it gave other people and not him. I don't know. But in any case, thank you, the Big Ship. Great to have you here.
Yep.
Welcome aboard.
We also have a Rumble rant.
Oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, from Kivo 1961. Are you able to show that?
Yes, I think I can. Let me see. It hasn't. Oh, here it has come up. Here you go. Russia just released an American prisoner. This will piss off the left big time. I saw that today. I think his name was Mark Fogel. I believe that at the time that Biden traded the Merchant of Death or whatever he was called for Brittany Griner, at the time he somehow didn't get this Mark Fogel out. I feel like he just made an effort for Brittany Griner, didn't really make an effort for Mark Fogel. I don't want to speculate as to why. Maybe he made an effort in one and didn't make an effort for the other. But in any
Mhm.
case, I think now Trump sent Witkoff over to Russia and they got him out of there.
Mhm.
You're
Yes.
surprised that I knew all of this, aren't you,
No,
Professor?
no, I'm not surprised at all. Not surprised at all.
No, usually that would be the details that you would know, you know what I mean? But sometimes I have my moments where strange
Yeah,
things
no,
happen.
I do remember seeing something about Fogel. I did not know that I did not see that story today that he had been released. That's fantastic. He's been there for over 3 years now,
Right, right,
and
and
he was being held on what is believed to be a completely fake charge of possession of cannabis. Um,
right, I mean, in the case of Griner, I think the charge was correct, and in this guy's case, I don't even know what they wanted from him, but I'm not
yeah,
sure that he did have anything, but what can we do?
yeah, but they didn't fight one bit to get him back. Did at least it didn't appear to
Didn't
that they've
appear to.
tried
I
it
mean,
all to get him back when they went through that previous release. Now,
no.
Russia is still holding other prisoners, other U.S. citizens there. So hopefully, they're continuing to work to get some of them those
I hope
others
so, I hope
released.
so. It's, I think that some of these American prisoners, they got, they got caught up in some political thing, that probably wasn't their fault. I mean, in the case of Griner, not that I think that whatever stupid vape pen or whatever she had, like, I don't really care. It doesn't mean anything to me. But at the same time, if you're going to go into a country like Russia and they have their own laws and you're just doing whatever you want, that's also not a good thing. Uh, I understand that here in the U.S. it's generally legal in most places, but it's not legal there, and that's not your country. And this was coming from, I think the thing that with Griner that didn't sit well with people is that prior to this whole thing that happened to her, she took on a number of occasions the opportunity to say how much she didn't like the U.S. And then at the end, when she got in trouble, she really needed the U.S. to help her. So there was kind of a feeling of not everybody was happy when somebody has something to say bad about your country, and then your country has to sort of give the what was called the merchant of death in a trade for you. Not everybody loved that. Yeah, some people are saying trade Brittany Griner back. It doesn't somehow. I assume that if she could go back in time and not say the stupid things that she said, she probably wouldn't have based on things that happened. Although who knows? But I do think that at the end of the day, it's not a good look.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I don't think that there's anybody that's so excited about like Brittany Griner today. Like she came back, maybe it was good for somebody. Listen, even Brittany Griner, it's not that I want her to be a prisoner. It's not that I want any Americans to sit in a Russian prison or whatever it is. Even though she was stupid and she did something stupid, it's not that I wanted that. But somehow, the fact that she had so many bad things to say about America, and then she really needed that kind of assistance. I don't know. It's just a certain irony. It kind of is like a moment in time that really highlights some of these kind of anti-America people that are just dumb.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's Yeah, it's fascinating. Uh, so yeah, Disney parks really struggling right now. They're right now they've got a lot of rides is on top of just the wildly inflating costs. They've got a lot of rides that have been struggling. They have a bunch of attractions that are planned to either be shuttered or be removed completely sometime during this or next year. It's fascinating to see. Obviously the biggest thing they had was Space Mountain that they replaced with the Tiana's Bayou ride, which has been a complete mess. Have you seen any of the coverage of that?
no, what's going on with that?
So, well, ever since it opened, it's down all the time. It is since the day that it opened, even they had
It
hours
replaced
in which
Space Mountain. What did it replace?
it replaced Space Mountain. Yeah,
Oh, Space
so
Mountain was a classic. That was like
it
a
was. It
classic
absolutely
ride.
was. Or well,
I
not sorry,
remember
not
going to
Space Mountain.
Space Mountain.
Splash Mountain. Splash Mountain.
Sorry, Splash Mountain. Wait,
Yeah.
is there a Space Mountain too, or am I now confusing certain things? Was it always
Uh,
Splash Mountain?
No, there's a Space Mountain too.
Okay, I got you.
That's in the
I
Magic
got you.
Kingdom. Yeah,
I remember Space Mountain, and I thought that was a
yeah,
good one, so it would have surprised me if they shut it down, but you're saying they shut down Splash Mountain.
yeah. Splash Mountain it was also a classic ride. That was the one that had the story of Brer Rabbit, and
I see.
so a lot of people there were some political
Oh, it was like
people.
is that like a Song of the South
Yeah,
situation? Oh, zippity
yes, it was
doo-dah, that's
from
also
Zippity
bad.
Doo Dah, Song of the South, and so
You know
people did
what?
not
Screw
want.
that. I don't even know.
Yeah,
I know. Don't hate me. I don't know all the politics. I don't remember the ride. I just remember zippity doo dah. Everybody knew that song. You go
yeah,
in,
absolutely.
zippity doo dah, zippity yay, and it's just everybody liked that. That was good. I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched Song of the South in many years. I don't even remember. I think I saw it as a kid, and I don't quite even remember what happens there. I remember that there was this rabbit. I think I remember Louis Armstrong in the movie singing to animated animals.
It wasn't Louis Armstrong, but yes, there was a black man. In fact, the first black man to have an Academy Award. Yeah.
Who was it that sang to them? Why did I think it was Louis
Uh,
Armstrong?
oh gosh, what was?
He
Let's see.
also had like a raspy voice. It's not like it's not like by some kind of stretch, and I'm saying it's Louis Armstrong because he also had that zippity doo dah, zippity yay. Like it also had like a
Yeah,
funny voice.
James Baskett.
Ah, okay. But didn't he also have that kind of
But
like
Louis
groggy?
Armstrong did sing that.
Okay.
He did perform that song, but not in the film. It was performed in the
Ah,
film by James Baskett. Yeah,
all right. So now I feel like, vindicated here because
yeah,
I recall when I hear of that song, I think of Louis Armstrong singing it. Now, if you say that in that movie it wasn't him that sang it, I
yeah.
accept that. For me though, Louis Armstrong, that's the definitive version that I associate with that song. Maybe there's another version. That's what I remember. So,
Yeah.
by the way,
It won an Academy Award for Best Original Song, in 1947, and, the actor, Baskett, he received an honorary Academy Award for his performance as Uncle Remus. So, yeah, I mean, it's amazing how they've wanted to just erase this movie. I understand the politics behind it, that obviously have reconstruction at the time, and some of the various different racial tropes that were part of it, but that was also part of the history of America. So it's frustrating to see that completely erased, basically, from Disney's history.
Yeah, I mean that's something that you always risk. It's the same thing with and we've talked about it this before. Before I go into it, John Malema says, didn't know the Snowden story about why he's in Russia. He was on his way to South America, but Cuba effed him. He got sick there. Don't really know what this is all about. I don't remember how he ended up in Russia. And as I've said before, I understand that he was trying to explain that there's something going on with privacy. I will always say that there was something about the way he went about it that I don't prefer.
Hmm.
Even though I know some people like him, I think that him sitting in Russia and him, the thing that he like gave away information or whatever it was, I don't love that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I
I know what
understand
you
that some
mean.
it's a complicated one because I understand why some people feel like, listen, he saw something that was wrong and he was like a whistleblower and he wanted to make it known for people, and I can sort of understand that. I just don't like the way he did it, and the way he did it uh, stops me from liking him. But that's just my personal opinion. I understand that people have different opinions about it. Uh, I can't tell people how to feel, but I guess that's how I feel about him. And then it's not that it wasn't an important issue to shed a light on. I just wonder if there wasn't a different way to do it. Just my 2 cents. And then I guess, wait a second. They're airbrushing all the cigarettes out of Walt's photos. He died of cancer, kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny if you ever see any pictures of him, like, say he's pointing at something, you'll notice he's pointing with 2 fingers, with his middle and index finger together,
I
when he's
see.
pointing at this, he's pointing at that. And there's a reason. He had a cigarette between those two fingers,
I
but
see.
they edit them out of all of the all of the old videos.
That's funny.
It's pretty, or the videos or the images and stuff like that. Yeah, of him. Yeah, he was a smoker, a lifetime smoker, and yeah, he died of cancer.
Well, what can you do?
Oh,
But we were talking about something else. I was saying that the thing with Song in the South, it reminds me of the whole Aunt Jemima thing. That um, the second there was all of this Floyd in 2020 and all the Summer of Love, they announced that Aunt Jemima syrup, maple syrup, will no longer be called that. It's now called like the Paper Milling Company or something. Doesn't mean anything. Who even knows what paper milling is? Paper milling, something dumb. I don't remember if that's the name. It's
mhm.
something like that. And the reason they did that is because they felt that having Aunt Jemima on a maple syrup means that you're offending black people somehow, and they had to remove it. And the thing is that the lady who actually was sort of the spokesperson for this company it was one of the first times in the U.S. history that there was like a product with like an actual person attached to it. And she didn't invent the company; it wasn't her company. But the people that owned that company, they wanted her to be like their spokesperson. They actually went to like the World Fair and places like that, and she would be there, and she was like the face of their company. Uh, Now she died, even though this was like we're talking about late 1800s, early 1900s. Or until maybe she lived until 1920, 30, whatever it was. She died a rich woman, uh, with an almost unprecedented sort of type of I don't know, like a sponsorship, or I don't know how to
Mhm.
explain it. Like she basically died a rich woman having a deal that very few people, forget about blacks and white, very few people had a deal like that. And it was a symbol of success, actually, for a black woman. But somehow history wanted to change that and say that it's bad. And the reason they said it was bad is because apparently, I guess saying Aunt Jemima, it was something that in the 1800s, somebody's like, do you know that in the 1800s, when they thought of that, like they had negative thoughts about, I don't know what. It's like, dude, we're in 2020 something. I don't know what they thought in the 1800s when they like thought of like creating some maple syrup. I think like digging into now what you think happened in 18 like 75 is a bit of a stretch. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, to get into the minds of two guys in 1875, they're like, no, they thought that because she was an aunt, she's like, they thought she should work in the kitchen. I'm like, this is 1875. If you're a woman walking around in 1875, I don't, even if you're a white woman, probably they thought that you should work in the
Should work
kitchen. Like,
in the kitchen.
right. I really don't get like the whole thing and what they were thinking in 1870 something. All I know is this: as a kid and as an adult, I never thought of any of this stuff. I just thought that she was like an aunt that makes syrup. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Sometimes you'll see. I've seen this before. I don't remember what brand it is. Like an Italian brand of like what's it called? Marinara sauce, something for your spaghetti or whatever it is, and it's like Aunt Maria. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Aunt
Mhm.
Maria. She made it. Does it sound like, ridiculous? Sure. And it says Aunt Maria, and it's like her pasta sauce. You know what I mean? Nobody's sitting around and thinking, oh, why is she Aunt Maria? They must, in the 1800s, they hated her type and they thought she should be in the kitchen. Who cares? Who cares? Nobody was thinking that. It was Aunt Maria. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing I saw like the maple syrup was called like Aunt Jemima. Also, like with Uncle Ben, it's like,
Mhm.
basically all I know is that there were like two products that were super popular that you saw the face of like a black and a like black woman and man on, and suddenly they said those weren't good.
Yep, those were racist because they used aunt and uncle, which were supposedly demeaning to those people because they, were uh, they were treated less than by being called aunt and uncle.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the thing is that I, even as a kid, I swear I thought this. I probably have told you this before. I thought that like Uncle Ben and Aunt Jemima were a couple.
we're married.
I thought, no, I'm
Yeah, why
serious, because
not?
I thought to myself, I see. Like, I mean, as a kid, what do I know? I'm going through the supermarket, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, there's like Aunt Jemima and there's Uncle Ben, and I honestly thought like, and even if like I'm thinking companies as a kid, I'm thinking this is the same company or at minimum. But actually, in my mind as a kid, I thought that they were a couple. So this is where my mind as a kid went. Never thought of what happened in the 1800s, and there's no
Mhm.
reason to.
Yep.
It's the same thing. Like, again, I'm sorry, giving pasta sauces. I've probably seen like a pasta sauce somewhere that it's like, hey, Uncle Vito. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? So what? Like, I've seen stuff like that. In and of itself, to have like an uncle and aunt on a product, I don't think that means anything. Especially if nobody like lived in the 1800s and doesn't even have that context. I think that was such a stretch. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And Argentum says in the chat, here I thought aunt and uncle were terms of respect. They were actually terms of endearment. When many young people would use those, they were recognizing that those people, these black men and women, who many of them, yes, did have roles in white households, yeah, as servants, but they were recognizing them as part of the household, as part of the family. They weren't calling them demeaning names. They weren't saying demeaning things about them. I understand people, getting upset. Oh, these were terms that were used in Reconstruction, whatever, and they were exclusively used for people of black descent or whatever. I get what they're trying to say. I just don't buy the argument.
Listen, I'm sure. Let's be fair. I'm not saying that in the 1800s there weren't situations that black people. I'm sure. Surely there were cases that they were disrespected. I'm not arguing that that didn't happen. I'm just saying that in 2024, to look at something and say, "Oh, it says like Uncle Ben," like, "Oh no, this is the end of the world." It's been so long since when that even meant something that was
Mhm.
supposedly one way or another. Supposedly that I think most people just kind of flew above their head and they didn't even know. And I don't think
Yeah.
anybody cared. You know what I mean?
No, I really don't.
I don't
Um,
think that any, even to be honest, again, I don't speak for black people. I want to throw that out there. I don't speak for
no.
them. The black people that I associate with, I haven't met somebody that said, "Man, so important that Uncle Ben is no longer an uncle, or that Aunt Jemima was removed from her syrup."
Yep.
Haven't met one that said like, "Wow, finally." Like, I
Yep.
haven't met anybody that was even on their mind or they even cared about it, so, and it's not like the companies that did that, it's not like they care, it's just a stupid virtue signal.
Yep. So what were we? Oh, we were talking about Disney. Yeah, we are in some of
Oh,
the
Song of the
struggles that
South,
and,
yeah,
and
Song of the
Song of the
South,
South,
yeah.
because they got rid of Splash Mountain, which had that there. And yeah, they've been having any number of issues with some of those rides. Actually, I yeah, yep. Oh no, yeah, I have a video. It's in my history because I watched this actually recently. This was somebody who, oh, sorry, wrong button.
While you pull it up, for those who are hanging out, don't forget to, just because I see more people than usual joining us today, and I'm really happy, especially on the
Yeah,
YouTube side.
glad to see you all here.
You're welcome to like and subscribe, always helps. Go on.
Oh, it's doing the thing where it won't let me share again.
Oh, wait,
Right. Nope, it's not presentation mode. It's where when you click on a box and it drops you out. It just kicks you back out. Hold on. I'll be right back.
okay. Hello, everybody.
All right. Now let's see if it works.
The professor is back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Night
Well,
Owl.
right. I was starting everything over again. I was
Here
gonna
we go.
tell them how I was at the Elbow Room performing.
Yeah, this video is somebody. This is a YouTube or a Disney blogger making some videos showing how this ride is basically constantly broken now. There's times when they just completely shut down the ride, and there's other times when the ride is open, but there's major parts of it, especially the animatronics, that are malfunctioning, and this is a constant issue now. So I'm not going to turn on the music because it's really rough and annoying, but you can see that animatronic almost completely failed. There's this real mess of a scene that they've got here where the actions of everyone in the scene basically are just repeating over and over again in a loop. Jump forward here just a bit. They've replaced a whole bunch of animatronics. So, but previously in the ride, there were a whole bunch of animatronics and stuff going on. They've just got screens all over the place, which there's a bunch of people that hate those. You can see here. Watch Louis here. Just stops working in the middle of the performance. You have another animatronic here of Tiana. She's supposed to be moving and talking, but she's just frozen. Uh,
What is this?
it's apparently it's moving, but its mouth is not moving along with the lines that are supposed to be playing.
Can't they fix it? I mean, that's sort of their whole thing is to do this stuff. How are they not able
yeah.
to do it?
So here, her mouth's not moving when she's supposed to be talking. Here's she's frozen. None of her parts are moving. These are things that just continue to be issues with this ride.
What is
where
Tiana even? I don't even know what this is. Was this a movie?
that is the Princess and the Frog. The Princess and the Frog film that they made. It was
Was it successful? I don't even remember it existing.
it was okay. Really was one of the last films they made with like traditional animation.
I can barely remember that one, honestly, but maybe
It
some
was
people
all right.
liked it.
It changed the story of the Princess and the Frog into this thing that happened in Louisiana and had voodoo and stuff had to do with it.
Did the frog turn into a prince at the end?
I believe she turns into a frog or
Oh.
something. No, I don't remember. It's weird. Yeah, she just turned
In
into a
Shrek,
frog.
she
and
turns
then,
into a Shrek or something.
yeah, it's actually been a long time since I've seen it. Yeah, it was like their last. Jeanette said, yeah, it was their last 2D film. They did with more traditional 2D animation.
Some people think that I'm a frog, by the way.
Yeah. Oh.
Somebody in the comments sometime refs like, "Oh, like the Toad Prince is right. Like I agree with the Toad Prince," and I'm like, "All right, well, guess being a Toad Prince is better than nothing, I guess." I think they were referring to me, probably not to
Yeah.
you.
Were they saying you're French? Were they calling you a frog?
I don't know. They said I was the Toad Prince because I guess of
Toad.
the crown.
Yes. Oh, a red toad. That's
A red
interesting.
toad, yeah.
Okay, I found it. I finally found it, Price, while we were chatting.
Okay.
The term that Bob Iger used when he was talking about not having enough people coming to the park, so we're just going to raise prices. He called it demand moderation.
What a jerk.
Like I said,
Demand
it's
moderation.
just like all sorts of double speak here. Yeah, demand moderation.
He's good at that. I mean, that's his whole
Yeah.
thing is he just double speak all day. He's been doing that for decades. He just sits around and does
So,
that all day.
we're going to deal with lower attendance by raising prices on everyone who's still coming. And I also know they had some projects they were working on where they were going to have some sort of special like lounge areas that were going to be available to like the big time like season ticket holder, like the ones that have the passes where they can come in at Disney at any time. And that was going to be one of the perks of having those tickets. And then they changed their minds at the last minute, took that away from all of those people that will hold those and only gave them to one of the I can't remember the name of it. It's some like platinum Disney Mouse Club or something. Basically, it's like these crazy high spenders. Not only do they have tickets to get into the park at any time, but they also have like some sort of deal where they spent all sorts of money to get stays in the Disney World hotels and all sorts of stuff there. I cannot remember the name of it, but it's the absolute premium experience. People who spend tens of thousands of dollars per person to come to the parks and stay in the hotels and stuff. They're the only ones that get to use those perks. So that infuriated some people. They continue to have just constant maintenance issues and breakdowns with all sorts of stuff. They had the power go out. The power
See,
went out at Disney the other day, and they weren't able to do a bunch of the rides and stuff. Uh, they're just dealing with all kinds of infrastructure issues. Yeah, here's the story of
it's an old park. By the way,
the
Jeanette says,
power
I
outage.
felt the same when they stopped naming natural disasters after women. I always felt proud that women were named after hurricanes. Why? Don't they call them after women? They sometimes do call them after women.
Yeah, they changed the way that those get named. So now apparently, like they're not specifically female names. There's like a whole list of different names. They decide on them like years in advance for the storms, and so there's just this whole list for each season. They start over, and they start with A, and it's a name that starts with A, and then they work their way up through all of the different tropical storms, get different names, and they work their way through the alphabet, and then they start back at the beginning with another new list of names. But yeah,
Have they ever
they're not
named like
exclusively female names anymore.
have they ever recycled a name for a hurricane?
Yes, they recycle names for name storms. They do that all the time, but if it becomes a hurricane, that then it does not get reused. Or there's a rule like if it becomes a hurricane that impacts land or something, like there's a rule that they have about like sort of like when they retire those names and they don't ever use them again. But if it's only been a tropical storm, they'll recycle those names for another one later on. Yeah, but there's a big long list.
I see. So,
Oh, we've had some naughty people in the chat tonight. Adam's been busy.
there has? Why? What happened?
There was one dude earlier who just shouting a lot in the chat. It got timed out, and then apparently someone came in and started calling us pedos. So um,
Oh, why did he say that?
I don't know. Just being a troll, I guess.
I see.
But yeah, so there was the story about the power outage at the Magic Kingdom.
I see that
Just in,
somebody was
in
actually saying here in the said something here about Snowden that he did something important. I never said that he didn't do anything important. I want to clarify. People are saying there was no other way to do what he did. I don't know. I just know that when that happened, there's something about it that I still don't like. I understand that maybe he had something a whistleblowing thing that he wanted to do, and maybe that had value, but I just didn't prefer the way it was done. Hard for me to feel differently. Even again, people have different opinions on this. I've met people with very different opinions on this, and I think that it's not a consensus. I rarely see that, like, if you have a few people, I rarely see that they all agree on it.
Oh, sorry, caught me in the middle of a drink there. Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, no,
Good.
I
Somebody's
agree.
drinking.
There's a lot of different perspectives on it. I agree that definitely somebody needed to come out and let people know about the NSA and the illegal spying and everything. Uh, yeah, yeah, it just feels like uh, there was a lot of weird stuff around how that actually ended up happening. I don't know. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. In general, yes, I do support the whistleblowing that Snowden did. But it kind of like you were saying, kind of the way that they went around it. He would have been dead doing it the regular way. I don't know about that. That you can say that, but there's no way we can know. You know, uh, there are different ways that potentially that could have been exposed. Um, that his name would have gotten out there. He would have been, yeah, too famous, to just disappear. But yeah, I understand dealing with the intelligence community. There's a lot of worries about them doing any number of different things to people under the guise of national security without any kind of oversight. So yeah, I get it. I get it.
I understand. I like I said, I respect that people have different opinions on it, and it is what it is. Before we jump in, because I think we talked a little bit about Disney. Quickly, just also, some people were saying, and this is something that Tom was telling me earlier, on Midnight's Edge after dark. He was telling me about Disney, that they're sort of rolling back. They had all these kind of disclaimers before older movies and shows where they apologize to you for how offensive they are, and I guess now with all of the sentiment of DEI not being so great, they kind of rolled back a little, but they only sort of rolled back. Meaning, I guess at some point they had a disclaimer, but then they felt the disclaimer wasn't disclaimer enough. So then they made a disclaimer that was longer and more aggressive, and now they're going back to the first disclaimer and like removing the more aggressive out of the two. And that's their way of like softening their DEI or something like that. But it's not really much of a softening. The fact that they're just like, let's roll it back a little, doesn't really look like a real rollback to me. Real rollback is when you just delete it. You just
Yeah,
don't
you
put
just
it.
get rid of that,
You
and
just
yeah,
get
I
rid of it.
I did see I did see something about that earlier. How they've kind of changed some of those warnings in front of movies to make the language a little bit simpler. And I think the word you used, aggressive, is a pretty good way to put it. They're not like, this movie has awful stereotypes and racist, depictions of people of color, and I was like, they would say all sorts of things, and it's like, good grief, like, really? Like, all you if you wanna put a warning in front of it, if you wanna say, "Yeah, this has, like, a Sambo character in it or something that, yeah, that's not cool," okay? Then just put a small warning that says, "Hey, this is just a product of its time. Uh-oh, Price has disappeared on me." Oh, he's back. There he is. Oh, I was worried there for a moment, Price. Yeah.
What can I
Uh,
do?
yep. So yeah, they've changed it to something a little bit less ridiculous, saying, this film's a product of its time, whatever. And you know what? I think I don't really have a problem with that in front of some movies that do have some depictions that are very questionable. But at the same time, there's other things where I'm like, did you really need that? I mean, seriously? It's like, I heard Tom on Midnight's Edge talking about how they're actually now removing stuff from films that they're releasing publicly. And one of those was Crocodile Dundee. I think was the one he was specifically
That's
talking about.
so annoying. That's so
That's
annoying.
that
That
is
is the
that's gross. It's disgusting. That was a film that was made popular decades ago. If you want to say something on the sleeve or on the jacket or something like that that says, "Hey, this may have depictions that might be offensive or whatever," do it,
Oh
right?
wait,
But what's wrong with
Joshua Calkins sent a super chat. I just suddenly noticed that.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how long ago this was.
no, it was just a moment ago. Looks like.
Oh, just a moment ago.
Yeah.
Is there a way? Do I see it here, or it doesn't show up? And I'll
Oh
just
yeah.
read it out. I'll read it out. New JFK insights may contradict Oliver Stone and Donald Belisario. I haven't heard yet. Thanks for the show. Yeah, I mean, what happened with that? That they released the documents. Whatever happened with that?
I don't think that those have come out just yet. I know that they're working on it. They had they had to present some of the stuff by the end of March, I think. They had like a certain like 45 days or something, I think, that they had to process those. And then the FBI, I saw something yesterday, where they had said something about how there were some new files, some new records that have been discovered as part of the effort to from that executive order. Let me look real quick. Yeah, so the FBI has discovered 2,400 new records related to the assassination of JFK from a new record search following the executive order ordered by Trump on January 23rd. So, as they've been looking through not only the National Archives but various other things, the U.S. government says during Trump's first term, the U.S. government released more than 2,800 records related to the assassination to comply with the 1992 law mandating their release. Roughly 300 were classified out of concern for national security and foreign relations. But yeah, he's basically ordered the declassification of everything that's out there. So hopefully that means we get to see those fairly soon. I don't remember what I think they had to give a timeline within
I
14 days. So that
because I'm
timeline
so curious,
would be
so
coming pretty
curious.
quickly. And then let's see when.
I'm extremely curious to learn what was in those
Yeah,
documents. Although
that's
I always tell you that, if this was one of those kind of Datelines or even like a Murder She Wrote episode, like just a very basic thing to me is always who benefits the most if JFK dies. And there's a few or even one very clear answer that has always seemed like almost too obvious. Now, at minimum, obviously, that option that I'm thinking of, it doesn't mean that he acted alone. But if this was a type of coup that happened of sorts, then it wouldn't have been a stretch to think that maybe he would have known about it. But that's my
yeah.
opinion.
There's been varying opinions from this saying that, yeah, there's going to be something, this is going to be huge. It's going to tell everybody, exactly what happened. And then there's a number of people who supposedly have inside knowledge that have seen and read some of these reports in a, security capacity, who are saying that don't expect a smoking gun from these files. Even if they're declassified, everything's comes unredacted. There's none of them that are solid conclusions saying, "Oh, we know exactly what happened." Right. So, my understanding that the JFK files, they were supposed to be presented within 15 days, which would have been the end of the week this past week. There was supposed to be some sort of plan presented to the president for how these files would be released, like the timeline for when they could be processed and released. I don't think anything has actually come out publicly about what that timeline is just yet. The timeline for the stuff with Robert F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. was 45 days. So it'll be into March probably before we hear anything specific about what the timeline is for when those are going to get released. So yeah,
I
but
love the
hopefully we'll know something pretty soon. Yeah.
I love that people are quoting Spaceballs. That's such a great scene. Have you
We
found
ain't
anything yet?
found shit.
Not a thing, sir. That's like I don't know why that's such a funny scene. It's
Yes.
just great. It's just such a great.
Oh, what's even better, you know who delivers the line, right?
Yeah, they're saying it's Tim Russ.
Yeah, it's Tuvok from
Right.
Voyager. Yeah,
You know what? I didn't know that until today. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, we ain't found shit. Sorry, Sean.
Sorry, Sean. Yeah, no, that's just a funny.
It's a great line.
She said,
Of
"My
course,
friend
the
Roan."
best part is that they're using a fro pick, which is why
Right, well, they have a trouble finding
the
it. Yeah,
two black guys are just using a fro pick to look through instead
that
of the
was a
bigger
joke that
comb.
worked on a number of
Oh,
different levels, and
it's a great
man, was
joke.
it funny. My friend Rob was also combing the desert. Marla said, maybe she knows somebody in the cast of that
Oh, that's
movie.
great.
That's cool. Uh, What was I gonna say? I wanna share something with you. I'm very embarrassed that I don't know how it came up in my feed, and I saw it I think it was, like, this week sometime. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen, and for some reason, I legitimately cracked up, and I'm
Okay.
embarrassed that this thing made me laugh, so I'm gonna share it. Uh, Maybe it's a known thing. I don't know if this is, like, a meme that everybody knows. It came up on my feed, and I found it extremely funny.
Okay.
Hold on one second. It's something that It's a Gundam shared, and it somehow maybe a lot of people liked it and were responding to it. I just kind of clicked play, and I found myself legitimately laughing, so I'll do it. Are you ready?
Okay.
Tonight the feeling makes me very quiet. Night coming, I become horny single guy. We talk on the iPhone. You want to bye me? Yeah. Love me, fuck me.
Sorry, Sean.
Oh, you say you bye me. I don't wanna listen your mouth say, won't you give me honey feel? Love me, fuck me. People, you say you bye me. I don't wanna listen your mouth say, feeling you give me is okay.
I probably shouldn't have found that funny, but for some reason I thought it was funny.
As
Like,
I see CC karaoke in the chat. Hey there, CC.
"Hey,
How you
Cece,
doing?
how's it going?" I mean, it's the
So
dumbest
she bye-byed him. Yeah.
it's the dumbest thing, like, I've ever seen, and somehow I was just sitting there laughing, and I struggled with myself because I said, "This is so stupid. Why are you
It's
laughing?"
extremely dumb. Does
It's
it really sounds like an AI written song, right? But then
right,
there's somebody performing it on camera. At least it seems to be. So it's like,
right.
okay, maybe this is legit. Yeah.
It was hysterical, yeah. I don't know.
Oh man.
I found
That
it
is
funny,
funny.
and again, sometimes you gotta be able to
That's
laugh,
that's good
so
stuff. Oh no, yeah. I enjoy a good laugh. Yeah. That's funny.
I thought it was good,
Oh.
and,
Oh,
yeah,
and we're probably horrible racists for laughing at, the English,
I mean,
in that performance,
there's
but
somebody that sang it and did that. There's no I didn't
I
do it,
know,
you know what I mean? Like, it's not like I
exactly.
was imitating anybody, that's just what it was. And by the way, more people are joining us, and it's, on both platforms. If you're new, you can follow or subscribe or like. We love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I guess we went over that. We went over Disney with all their weird crap and how they want to remove stuff from movies, and they're super annoying. I think the final thing that we were sort of, I saw in recent days that Elon Musk was really saying like, "Oh, gaming journalism is dead," and that's been like, so suddenly again a topic for conversation. I mean, we already knew this, but I'm just wondering, is there anything new happening that's causing like another wave of people now to again say it?
Well, I think a lot of what's been happening lately, first of all, there were just a lot of people who were, legitimately just sick of the just constant left-wing agenda that was coming from all of the, gaming journalists, all of the different gaming journalist outlets. And of course, we found out that there was quite a bit, at least has already been uncovered, that there was a number of different outlets that were being funded by the government, by USAID,
Yeah, it
right?
doesn't surprise me
Uh,
at all.
Actually, quite funny. Phantom Outsider mentioned in the chat just a moment ago. He said they took the designation off the USAID building, so there's now a meme showing the words and a Spirit Halloween banner replacing them, which is extremely funny. I have actually seen that. Yes. Spirit Halloween coming in. Yeah, why not?
Is that like a meme, or did they really do it? Now I don't even know what's real and what's a
Oh no,
meme anymore.
I don't think they actually did it. I
I
don't
could
think
totally see
that.
Elon Musk bringing that Spirit Halloween and hanging it up, like, that's the weird thing is that now I just, you know,
Yep.
I would believe
That I
anything.
mean, I wouldn't put any troll past Elon. He is he's top level when it comes to trolling people. He might have to pay people for help to keep his his online gaming characters up to snuff, but I don't think he needs help when it comes to trolling people. But yeah, they there's been just this nonstop connection, not just with the left wing journalists constantly backing up the left wing causes, but rushing to the defense of groups like Sweet Baby Inc. and others, and some of the other people who are involved in those groups to back them up and try and cover for them when there was so much of the absurdity that they were involved in that was getting exposed. And Musk is somebody who's he's got strong opinions, right? And I think he's not wrong. The gaming press has been in a quagmire for a long time. They're either shilling for games left and right, or they're out there just trying to gaslight everyone into thinking that, oh yeah, Star Wars, the new Star Wars game, it's so good. You really should play it. It's amazing. 9 out of 10. And you got IGN out there, they'll give a 7 or an 8 to
Right.
absolutely anything, even games that are so bad they ruin studios. They're like, 8, it's good. It's a good game. Yeah, it's just gotten absurd, and just the level at which they've gone in the past year, 2 years. It's just ramped up to levels you wouldn't believe. So there was apparently there was one exchange that happened on X. Someone commenting on Elon's original post saying, video game journalism is garbage. They came back and said something to the effect of, "Oh, they ruined my toys," and that's the sophistication level of reactionaries like Elon. But a bunch of gamers would not have it. They recognized who this was. It was somebody formerly associated with Kotaku, and they actually absolutely tore him apart on X. So yeah, it's gaming journalism is just such a mess now. Nobody cares what they have to say. Uh, Pretty quickly, I think a lot of these organizations are just going to dry up. Uh, the the quote unquote journalism that they're creating is just uh,
People
there's no respect for it. Nobody wants to hear what they have to say. Nobody cares what they have to say. It's all just it's either they're being paid to be outraged over this thing, or they're paid to shill for this thing, and then that's all we get from them. So it's embarrassing.
people are saying in the chat that this may be a YouTube record for us on the YouTube side. On Rumble, we've had significantly more over time sometimes, but
Yeah,
on the YouTube, I think we're now, yeah, this could be, maybe
yeah,
one of the highest streams we've had here.
yeah. It's wonderful to see you all here. Make sure you give us a like.
We're over 70. I mean, it's
Yeah,
flickering around, but it's like 72, 74,
yeah. That's wonderful.
75. Awesome, really great. That's why I was saying I was so excited that people were tuning in today
Yeah, and we've got
and
about
joining.
even without a recommendation, we've got about 53 over on Rumble. So that's also
Yeah, no,
pretty good.
together now between the two platforms, we have like 127 or something like that, and
Yeah,
that's
pretty
always
good.
good. So yeah, great. We love this,
Pretty good.
and I really love the crowd that keeps kind of growing and together with us on YouTube. I enjoy hanging out with you all. If I don't say that enough, saying it now. I was gonna say something that you were talking about these kind of IGN shills, But you know what? Another thing that's weird to me is that sometimes I think that there's still shills on Rotten Tomatoes because there was a movie that had like really good grades, and I have my plan, so I went to see it today, and I wasn't as excited about it as other people are. Let me look at it for a second. Let me see if I can find it. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So it's called Hard Eyes. I guess they released it because they wanted to sort of make it in time for Valentine's Day. It is a strange combination of trying to be like a slasher movie at times, which like they genuinely want you to be scared, but then it's kind of like a quirky rom-com or something. And it doesn't that these two things together, in my opinion, don't really work because the
Hmm.
dumb rom-com aspect makes you not take the horror seriously, even though uh, the movie starts off without the dumb rom-com thing, so you actually think, "Oh, this is gonna be like a serious kind of Halloween type of slasher movie, like maybe something interesting." And it starts off like maybe even a bit gory, like, kind of grotesque and whatever. I don't always love that, but at least, as a reviewer, I can respect when somebody's doing that. So I kind of watch them like, "Okay, I get it. This movie is like means business." And then like you see some lady and she's like there's some dude and they're on a date and there is love and there isn't love, and I'm like, what is this nonsense? So I don't know who gave it like an 80 or a 79. That is not a movie that gets an 80 or a 79. There is a lot of nonsense that happens there. The writing isn't all that great. I would say that like Companion, which I thought was also overrated, well, they gave that one like a 94. It's not or a 95. It's not a 94 or 95 Companion. It was something that I considered, I don't know if maybe I gave it like a 70 out of 100. This I would give maybe even less. I'd give it like, maybe something like a 65 out of 100 at best. Maybe if I'm generous, like a 65 out of 100. And the only thing I'll say is that at least that they had a young lady. I don't know. I mean, she's a woman. She's not like a kid, but I'm saying she had the lady that's the main actress here. She is a pleasant looking lady, and at the same time, they didn't try to make her look like a little boy, which was nice. I'm not familiar with her. I don't know if anybody knows. Her name is like Olivia Holt. I have no idea who this is, but I thought to
Hmm.
myself, you know what? At least she didn't look like some annoying little boy. Like she just looked like you know, cute lady person. Let me see if I can
Well,
find
that's better than than most films these days.
let's
At
see if I
least at least they have a character that's maybe attractive that you're not upset about looking at on
I think that
screen.
this is the actress. She looks a little different in the movie, but I'll try to share this other screen. Let's see if I can share this instead. So yeah, she was a pleasant looking woman,
Hmm.
and they didn't try to make her look like disgusting or anything weird like that. That actually probably instead of 60 gets like a 65 from me. Maybe I would have given the movie less, but at least they had like a woman that looked like a woman and she didn't look bad and she was rather pleasant. So there was that. But the angle of trying to do some weird rom-com just cheapened the horror element. And the sad thing is that this could have been like a cool this had a potential in my opinion to be a much better movie.
Hmm.
If they just would have taken themselves more seriously, I don't know why they went. Maybe they thought they'd go for the Valentine's thing, like you're finding love. We'll do like a quirky comedy thing. It doesn't work, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
yeah, I guess some of those Rotten Tomatoes people like it. Let's see.
Chat seems to approve.
Yeah, no, I mean she she's
A nice face. She's cute.
She's cute. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that there aren't like women in the world that aren't pretty or whatever you want to call it, but she's cute. She was likable, and I thought it was fine. I didn't have any issue with her.
Hmm.
Usually, like today in Hollywood, usually they hire her. They immediately like shave her head or make her look like a little boy or make her dress like a little boy. In this case, she just looked and acted like a woman. Already, like probably like I said, that's probably the difference between them getting like a 60 and a 65.
Hmm.
Let me see. I'm curious what these critics are saying. Where are the critics? Reviews. Okay. What are they saying? Sometimes I don't know what these people are talking about. It's a fresh and entertaining twist on the genre that could pave the way for more horror romantic comedies in the future. No, Josh Corgnut, Corngut, Corngut,
Cornut.
Dread Central. It's not a good thing. I don't want horror romantic comedies. Romantic comedy and horror, they don't work well together because they're trying to make you like look at the rom-com aspect, but then when the horror happens, you don't even take it seriously. It's like a dumb thing that doesn't for me, these two things didn't work together. Cody Leach. Hard Eyes is a clever blend of screwball romance and gory slasher that mostly works well as a tonal. It doesn't work. The kills are creative and gory, and the two leads are effective at the romance. The humor is just unfortunately way overdone. Finally, but he still gave it like a passing grade. I will say that I don't mind the two leads. The guy that she's kind of into, it's fine. But I would have done this differently. Do a little bit of romance in the background, like really toned down, but make this like a legitimate slasher movie. I think that would have been better. Nadine Whitney of AWFJ. I don't even know what that is. Satirical, metatextual, and a loving throwback to the movies people grew up with. Hard Eyes isn't deep or difficult. It's good, clean, nasty, viscerally violent fun. I don't know what she's talking about. It's not like movies I grew up with. Oh, let's see. Who's this person? Rob Gonsalves. This movie insultingly slack. Holt and Gooding themselves are likable, but the try-hard banter they're given doesn't help them at all. Unfortunately, the sharpest thing about this slasher is its one-liners. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why all these people like this so much, but what can I do? All right. Well, that's my thoughts are, if you're on a date and you want to see some slasher movie, it's like, it's a way to pass the time, but it's nothing groundbreaking and it certainly doesn't deserve the praise it's getting here. Out of the
Yep.
two, I would say that Companion was better.
Yeah. I
Companion
haven't seen either one, so I couldn't
and
tell you.
Companion, mind you, like also I thought was completely overhyped. You know what I mean? Like I thought that one had a lot of Companion could have been a much better movie, but it somehow just kind of skates by and like I said, I'd give it like a 70 out of 100. This Hard Eyes, if I'm generous, I give it a 65 out of 100. Maybe if there wasn't a woman that was like kind of pleasant, and even the guy that she likes to seem kind of pleasant, and they're likable. Without that, this could have been mid 50s or higher 50s. Like it could have easily failed, but somehow the likability of the two leads, you give it a 65. Just you let them skate by, but I don't know how much they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that covers just about everything we were planning to talk about tonight. I do have one other thing to share though.
What is it?
Early reviews are coming in for Captain America Brave New World.
Oh
They are
no!
not thrilling.
Wow.
Let's see. First, some reactions via social media. We've got Rodem Ruzik from Nerdist, which I'm sorry, Nerdist is kind of a shill organization. But,
Right. I'm saying if these shills aren't like kissing the ass
yeah,
now and like bowing
uh,
down, this may not be a good movie.
brought to life the best of the MCU. Action sequences were sharp and the mystery and tension simmering. But by far, the greatest triumph of the movie was the heart it allowed its main characters to have.
Well, he loves it. Okay.
Jeez. Okay. Mike Ryan, convoluted and dull. Should have been called Captain America Loose Ends. Rachel Leishman of the Mary Sue. A solid Cap meets Hulk film. Yeah, no, thanks. Coming from the Mary Sue, that carries little weight.
No, I don't believe any word she said.
John Flickinger, clunky, anticlimactic, and about as exciting as a rerun. Oh, jeez. Eric Davis, praising the movie, say Marvel is back, Cap is back. Ooh, oh, great. Sure. In many ways, it plays like a sequel to 2008's Incredible Hulk, but from the perspective of Thaddeus Ross. What? Wow. Okay.
Very weird.
Chris Parker. Enjoyable watch with decent action sequences, some standout moments, but it didn't quite hit emotional or narrative highs. Of course, Nadia Martinez of Gotham Geek Girl. Explosive, exciting, and powerful start to Avengers 2.0. Yeah, sure. Chemistry between Sam, Joaquin, and Isaiah, but a lot of veering off that hurts the pacing and the editing. Well, I wonder if that could be because they filmed the movie three
Film the movie.
times
Yeah, like they keep
and then
filming
like
it over and over again.
pasted it together out of scraps. Exciting, offers a worthwhile message in divisive times. Oh, there's politics. They didn't get all the politics out of it. Let's say that much.
Probably they couldn't. There's only so
Yep.
much they could delete, I guess.
Yep. Adam Patlick called the movie an eyesore, saying Anthony Mackie and Danny Ramirez deserved better. Could see what they were going for, but lacks depth and tackling politics it earnestly tries to handle.
Wait, this is interesting. You can also feel the constant reshoots it had to undergo.
Mm-hmm. I see what they were going for, but alas, yep. Kind of disappointed with Captain
Jermaine
America: Brave New
Lucier
World.
is like the biggest shill. He has some kind of ties to Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So anytime Lucasfilm has something, you'll see Jermaine Lucier writing an article. Whatever it is, it's favorable. Whatever they released, it's the best. Everything is great, always. So it surprises me that he's not. Jermaine Lucier was kind of disappointed with the movie, finding it all over the place thematically and ultimately a little pointless. Then again, he's not really as tight with the MCU, even though I would think that for the shill points, he would have actually said good things. Though we did know that were some good action moments and praised Mackey's Sam Wilson. Kind of disappointed with Captain America: Brave New World. There are some good action moments, and Mackie is a charismatic Cap, but it's all over the place thematically, overly complicated, and ultimately a little pointless. It just never had anything to suck me in. A bummer. The fact that this Lucier guy would say that means that, like, to say that he's a shill is just an understatement. He's the guy that basically, quote unquote, broke the story when Gina Carano was fired. He was the one that notified people that, like, Lucasfilm had fired her. He was the first person to have a quote, and he has like really good ties with that company. Yes, I know the MCU is not Lucasfilm, but the fact that he has those kind of ties to Lucasfilm surprises me that he would even go out on a limb and say this about Captain America. What else you got?
Yeah, let's see. We got a few more here. We've got Jeff Nelson saying he's not a fan. Nothing brave about Captain America: Brave New World, and called it the movie's villain forgettable. Well, he's only in like what? I guess they said they moved it from 5 minutes to now there's like 7 minutes of a Red Hulk fight. We got a super sticker from Six.
Oh,
a slice of pie. Thank you.
Slice of pie. That's very nice. It's the first time we got a slice of pie from you. Usually we get like a slice of poop.
Looks like a perhaps cherry pie. We got it. Very nice.
Awesome. Thank you, Six.
And then, let's see. Rama's screen was more positive, saying the movie cooked. Okay. Anthony Mackie owned that role like it's nobody's business. The politics went too deep, and the Red Hulk versus Cap fight was even more epic than the trailer sold us. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. I'll believe it when I see it. From the direct, David Thompson leaned positive. Anthony Mackie fills Chris Evans' shoes seamlessly. No, he doesn't. No.
I don't think so, yeah.
No one is more deserving of this shield than Sam Wilson. Yes, actually, there is someone more deserving, the Winter Soldier. Bucky deserves the shield.
And they seem to set up that storyline for Bucky, but then they just abandoned it, I guess.
Yep, threw it away because they wanted to make sure that a black man got it instead.
Something like that, yeah.
So, Harrison Ford takes Thunderbolt Ross up a level. And then we get the real sell here. Unfortunately, between the script, structure, and half-baked side characters, Captain America struggles to soar as high as I'd hoped. Yep. Even with that just shilling up here,
Right,
I
right.
have
Like
to admit here at the end, you know what? Actually, it wasn't that great.
the fact usually if it's like if it's really well, first of all, I never even trust these people, but the fact that they're not all of them saying it's the best thing since apple pie
Mhm.
means that, I have a feeling this isn't a great movie. But let's go on. What else you got?
Let's see, Jillian Bloom. It's grounded in hard truths that sacrifice without sacrificing that classic Cap optimism. Mackey's infectious empathy is the true MVP. Oh my god. Infectious empathy. Is it perfect? Of course not, but then nothing is. Yeah, we get it. You had to throw that little bit in there at the end to save your ass so that when people came back and said, "You said this movie was amazing." And you said, "Well, no, actually, I did say it wasn't perfect." Yeah. So, yeah, the early reviews not particularly promising. So, I think we are both planning to see this on Thursday.
I am planning to see it. Yeah.
So, as long as I'm able to make it to the theater, with weather and, if, got one sick kid in the house, hopefully I don't pick that up, but, planning to be at the theater on Thursday to catch this film. So we'll be here talking about it on Thursday night.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think this was a great stream.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed, the turnout today and hanging out with everybody. And it's kind of a cool milestone because I think I I I don't think that people were actually rating us today. I think that people just turned up, and I'm really, really, you know,
Yeah.
I can't express how grateful I am because it's just really nice of people to show up and hang out with us. I never take that for granted.
Yeah. I did see Nick Weiser pop in for a little bit, so we might have gotten a few people come over
Ah, okay. Sorry,
from Nick
sorry.
Weiser's channel. But he was only here for a moment, so that's the only reason I
I
think maybe that
apologize. If Nick
he might
Weiser
have brought
sent
some people
people,
over,
I
but
didn't notice. Usually when Nick Weiser sends a few people are like, we came from Nick Weiser, but nobody said anything. If Nick did send, as he often does, Nick is a great guy and he has a great channel, so you should check out 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. He does a great job there. And again, if you're watching us and you're new, or some people they're subscribed to my other channel, to my main channel for reviews, and this is my live stream channel, and some people don't even know there's two channels. So if you're watching this stream, you should check if you're subscribed or not, because if you're not subscribed, you should subscribe or follow or whatever. So
absolutely. So
uh,
let's do a few shout outs here.
Six said,
Um,
I think that this
yeah.
was a great stream. I'm an amazing panelist and my views are fascinating. I don't know about that. Uh, I mean, oh, they said, "Oh, damn it, there was no story this time." Why? I said that it was the lady was Catholic. Was what's his face? It was Calvin Harris. So I
Mhm.
did offer a story.
Mhm. Yeah, we got a little one earlier there, yeah.
It was something, I guess. Plus, I don't know. Nobody said anything. There wasn't anything that tied. Uh, the
And
only
then
thing I
you
can.
you you shared the stage with Lady Gaga after you bought her a
Ah,
drink, right?
yes,
Wasn't
here
that
well, I didn't share the stage with her, but I'm just saying there's a video. You know what? Before we go, I'm just wondering if there's a video of her playing there. Um, let's see.
Well, while
Lady
you hunt
Gaga.
for that, I'll get started on some shout outs for people
Okay,
out
you
here in the
do that's a
chat.
good
So,
idea.
over on Rumble, we were joined by quite a few people and some new names that I'm seeing here. So, and also some regulars as well. I see a Kivo 1961, Folsom Lockdown, Black Ass 2525. Nice to see you here. Squirt Queen 592 had a question for us, but never came back to ask it, unfortunately. Mike Yeager, Deplorable One, Jimmy Nature, Rolling Pony, who I believe is the first time I've seen you in the chat. It was glad to have you here. See you tonight, Rolling Pony. Uh, Once again, if you haven't taken a moment to create an account so that you can follow us on Rumble, you can comment in the chat and leave a comment after the video. We'd really appreciate it. Give us a like on that video. Always helps. But great to see you in the chat this evening over there on Rumble. We did lose a lot of our chat history earlier on as we had to reset, but we'll try and do our best to call out people that we saw in the chat this evening. So we see Argentum, the Big Ship, Adam Gray, Wrenched, Janet, Mary White, Joshua Calkins, Empress NM, Phantom Outsider. Good to see you here tonight, Phantom Outsider. Captain Palsy. Let's see. Looking for some others. Like I said earlier, we saw Nick Weiser was here. Nice to see you here tonight. We saw Tim Hayes, Jeanette. Let's see who else. Six. Thank you again for that little super sticker. Six. We got there. Looking for some others here. See Jamalama. Jonathan Conroy here tonight as well. I think, let's see, seeing if I missed anybody else. Caleb Levine. Yeah, Tim Hayes. I think I already said you. That's what I'm getting from the list that I've got here. I know there's a few others that were around. Marla Sharondoff was here as well. Let's see if I can spot anybody else that I might have missed. CC Karaoke was hanging out with us earlier. It was good to see you here, CC. I'm not coming up with any others. Let's see. Oh, DJ Play Nice was here. Good to see you, DJ, and thanks for the shout out. Yeah, I think that's about it. If we missed anybody, please, sorry we missed you. Thanks for being here. Oh, I see another one. Michael S. Was here earlier. Good to see you, Michael S. And I think that's about all I can see on here. Did you see any that I missed, Price, or you found your video?
Well, I found a video of her playing, but I could be wrong about what the second floor was called. There was somehow to this venue connected like a secret, I don't want to say a secret room. It wasn't secret, but there was like a different part of this venue that I'm not seeing here. But this is the thing that she was performing. It's also not the jazz one that I saw her perform. This is something else. But this is the place. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how Lady Gaga started her career. So yeah, it was here that I there was like a second floor that if you take a left something, there's like a second floor was somehow connected here. I thought it was called the Elbow Room, but when I Google it, I can't find it. So maybe it was just another floor within this venue. But this I think was like the more serious floor.
Yeah,
it may not look very serious to you, but the other one was even less serious than this one.
Yeah. All right. I've got a couple more names here. Let's see. Breeze Feats. I appreciate you being here this evening. And here's a couple more. Mars Monkey Max. I forgot to shout you out. Thanks for being here. TXX Victorious and Kent Kearney. So that's all the names I was able to pull together. But unless you see any others, I think we've done a good job trying to shout out as many as we could. So
I think we did.
Thank you everybody for being here tonight. We appreciate everybody joining us on YouTube and on Rumble. It's nice to see everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great evening. And Jeanette said she never got any better. I think she has talent. I mean, like I said, I think that the catalog that she has of songs, of these pop songs, are not the greatest. And I don't even know if she would say that they're the greatest, but she understood what she needs to do to be popular and make money. Can't take that away from her. and it's just not music that I listen to in my spare time. But doesn't mean there isn't an audience for it. And compared to a lot of other crap that's out there, I think that Lady Gaga is more talented than Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift for me is very kind of generic, but if nothing else, I suppose she has a good work ethic.
Mhm.
It is true that from a young age, her father kind of bankrolled that whole situation, gave her the type of backing that most young people that want to be artists don't get. And it's fine. At least she has a work ethic and she works hard. But I mean, I could name a few of her songs, but I don't really prefer any of them. And they all sound like, really watered down, vanilla, and dumb to me. But if people like it, it's fine.
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And somebody said there's an elbow room in Florida. Maybe. I think that for some reason, the upper room, they used to call it the elbow room. I could be wrong, and there was some other name for the room, and maybe it wasn't, but I kept thinking that it was the elbow room. In any case, uh, where Lady Gaga was playing, I was there, but I was there. What the video with Lady Gaga was from 2006, and I would say that I was there probably around 2000 and the year like 2001 or 2.
Okay.
Anyhow, the nice hanging out with you all.
Yeah.
And Six says Taylor Swift seems to be a good, clean, fun type of artist. I guess she's always just complaining about men all day, which is just
Mhm.
annoying. But uh,
You
I
you
guess
think you think after the Super Bowl loss that she's gonna break it off?
I think she is. I think that guy's done. Like
Yep.
now he didn't win, so he's out.
You think she's already written all the songs? She's just waiting to break up with him to put out the
Probably,
album?
while she's in this studio now recording another album, whining about some crap. Yeah. Captain Palsy said she's an old teenager. Yeah, whatever. She does whatever makes her money, I guess. It's fine. But I guess on that positive note, I'm wishing you all a good night, whatever platform you're watching us on, and thank you all for taking some time and hanging out with us. Hopefully you had a good time. We had a good time. I did, at least. Uh,
Yes.
so yeah, anything to say, Professor, before we
That
sign off?
No, that ought to do it. We'll see you, back here on Thursday. Well, hopefully, both of us will, survive watching Captain America.
Let's see what happens. This is gonna be fun. So see you guys Thursday.
Right now, I'm looking at going to an empty theater just me, myself, and I. It looks like no one else has bought seats yet, so that ought to be fun.
Same.
All right.
All right,
Take care,
guys.
everybody.
Bye.